Chapter 725. Where does your senior brother go to get things? Chen Hao did not directly agree, but asked instead. Go to our cave residence, it's about 40,000 miles away and we'll be back soon. Do you want to exchange? I have a lot of inherited memories. When my senior brother comes back, he will definitely not allow me to do so. If you want to exchange, hurry up. Cough cough. You all grew up here? Yes, we were born in this cave residence, but our range of activity is only 100,000 miles around here. When I turn 18 and become Dao companions with my senior brother, we can leave this place. After exchanging memories, you will know. Do you want to exchange with me? The young girl's eyes were filled with anticipation as she said. From birth until now, there was only 100,000 miles of space. Other than the inherited memories, she knew nothing about the outside world, just like a bird in a cage. The young girl was very eager to understand more about the outside world from Chen Hao's memories. If her senior brother was here, he would definitely not allow this kind of thinking. Therefore, when Chen Hao changed the topic twice, she changed it back. Otherwise, when her senior brother came back, it would not be good. Okay, let's exchange. Yes, when my senior brother comes back, please don't say anything. The young girl said as a ray of light slowly rose from between her eyebrows, spreading towards the space between Chen Hao's eyebrows. Mind opening. In this cruel world of cultivation, only the people closest to each other dared to connect their minds and let their memories, through this connection, quickly flow into the other person's mind. If someone had bad intentions, it could easily cause serious damage to the soul. But the young girl was the first to release her memories without any ulterior motives. Chen Hao's mind moved, and a bright ray of light blossomed from between his eyebrows, instantly merging with the young girl's ray of light. Hiss hiss hiss. Immediately after, Chen Hao operated the boundless memories in his mind, and as they appeared between his eyebrows at an extremely high speed, the young girl's memories also began to surge and merge into Chen Hao's mind. For a brief moment, Chen Hao was both shocked and speechless. At the same time, he felt a little guilty. He was shocked by how amazing this girl's birth was, as well as the countless inherited memories from the ancient times. These were all things that he had never even thought about. What was even more shocking was the concept of the universe in the girl's mind, as well as some inherited memories of the infinite starry sky, the universe, and the planes. It was a complicated plane map of the universe, the positions of each universe, and the countless stars in each universe. The amount of information was so huge that Chen Hao didn't even have time to look at it. He could only swallow it and copy it in his mind. What made Chen Hao speechless was that the girl didn't have the slightest filter of her memories and presented them to him directly. As for the guilt, it was naturally because although Chen Hao had completely opened his mind, he had filtered out many memories that he did not want the girl to see. For example, some memories that were not suitable for children, memories about Earth, his birth, memories about the old god, treasure-seeking sword spirit, techniques, and so on. Hiss. After a short 2 minutes, the passage between their eyebrows was cut off. What an exciting world! The girl said excitedly. Chen Hao, when I turn 18, my senior brother and I will find you, okay? Sure. It's only 2 years. As long as you go to the core area of the 9 restrictions of Immortal Ceiling to find me, you will definitely find me, Chen Hao said without hesitation. At this moment, he already knew what kind of existence the girl and her senior brother were. They were existences that were more powerful than the great sage, heaven's equal, Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong was a spiritual intelligence born from a celestial stone. The girl and her senior brother were both born from heaven and earth, but her spiritual intelligence was her master's life imprint. First, there were inherited memory fragments, then spiritual intelligence. After a long time, she was born with an immortal spiritual body. What was even more amazing was that one was the extreme yin of heaven and earth, while the other was the extreme yang of heaven and earth. Once the girl turned 18 and became an adult, her yin and yang with her senior brother would merge, and she would directly become a sky immortal. Moreover, this sky immortal would not be a sky immortal from the vast universe galaxy, but a sky immortal with the highest combat power before the collapse of the primitive mystery land. Chen Hao really wanted to know the girl's unique skill inheritance. Unfortunately, although the girl did not keep it from him, the girl's inherited memory would continue to be unlocked as her cultivation level increased. Her senior brother is only at the peak of the later stage of the Earth's celestial stage, but he is already so powerful. If he becomes a sky immortal in 2 years, he will be comparable to Daluo Jingxian from the vast universe galaxy. This is too heaven-defying. Compared to them, my talent is nothing. Their master must have deduced the collapse of the universe. That's why he could use the supreme divine power to pass down the supreme divine power. What kind of realm does he have to be in to have such a great divine power? Chen Hao did not dare to imagine. Fortunately, both of them had a pure heart and were born with kindness. Otherwise, if they were evil, no one would be able to stop their growth. Phew. I am me, why should I be discouraged? I have found my Tao. It's just a matter of time. I will not lose to anyone. Chen Hao, what are you thinking about? Give me some more spiritual fruits? They are all yours. Eat as much as you want. You are really good. Although you have hidden a lot of memories. Cough, cough, some of them are personal secrets. Of course, I can't show you, Chen Hao said awkwardly. Your spiritual altar is very powerful, even more powerful than my senior brother's. Also, you're very small. Also, there is a powerful existence in your mind that is guarding your soul. You have so many secrets. Azure Planet. Master's Universe, I think there is one. It's so magical. The girl continued. How did you know? Chen Hao's eyes widened. He was shocked beyond words. Brother Chen Hao, you have been fooled. At this moment, the young man suddenly appeared. Junior sister, you are always fooling around. Why don't you come out? Come out? You're in my mind? Chen Hao was instantly shocked, and his hair stood on end as he stared at the young girl. Brother Chen Hao, please don't blame her. Junior sister is young and ignorant. There was a problem when she awakened her spiritual intelligence. I'm sorry. Junior sister, if you don't come out, I will seal you for 100 years. The young man seemed to be really angry. As he spoke, a mysterious rune appeared in his hand. I don't have any evil intentions. Why are you being so fierce? Chen Hao did not feel anything. A ray of light flew out from between his eyebrows and disappeared into the girl's forehead. Apologize. The young man said sternly, forget it, forget it. It doesn't matter if you know. It was an exchange of memories. I hid it first. Chen Hao was shocked by the girl's terrifying ability. But since things had come to this, he could only pretend to be magnanimous. After all, the girl did share her memories and neither of them had any evil intentions. If the young man did not say it, he would not have known. Apologize. The young man waved his hand at Chen Hao and said sternly while still glaring at his junior sister. I am sorry, Chen Hao. I was just curious about what you were hiding. Don't be angry. The girl was a little wronged but still said obediently. It's okay. As long as you tell me how you did it, I won't be angry. Chen Hao said after hesitating for a while. At this moment, Chen Hao no longer thought that the girl was simply sharing all her memories with him. To be able to silently sneak into his mind and see the memories that he didn't want her to see, it was really a little too terrifying. Luckily, Chen Hao could feel that although the girl had lied to him, she did not have any evil intentions. Moreover, the young man's attitude towards him was very good. His eyes did not have the slightest bit of the arrogance of an expert. Brother Chen, this is a type of soul healing technique. It can only be used when your soul is connected, when you're not defending, or when you're unconscious. It can explore all the memories in your soul and enter deep into your soul palace. If your soul is heavily injured and you fall into a coma, it can be easily awakened. At the same time, it can also help to heal your soul. Brother Chen Hao, junior sister is naughty. Although she did not have any evil intentions, she has violated your privacy. As compensation, this technique, let my junior sister impart it to you. I hope you don't blame her for being rude. Senior apprentice brother, Chen Hao was only surprised and curious. He didn't blame her. I won't say anything. Seeing her usually doting senior apprentice brother glare at her once more, the girl immediately shut up. She pouted and looked at Chen Hao. "Then I must thank you." Chen Hao was shocked, but his words were not polite at all. Even the peak existences of the vast universe galaxy might not necessarily have such an ultimate technique. At the very least, Chen Hao had no idea. Even the 3,000 Great Tao didn't have any records of this. "Pass it on to Brother Chen Hao." "Oh, this?" A milky white light shot out from between the girl's eyebrows and floated towards Chen Hao. Chen Hao opened his mind and allowed this light to fuse between his eyebrows. His eyes shined with excitement. Soul healing technique. This was actually a complete set of soul techniques. It included soul tempering, soul force utilization, and soul healing, a complete set. Just by looking through the information in his mind, Chen Hao was able to surpass his expectations. How was this just healing? Chen Hao was sure that with this set of soul techniques, his strength would rise by leaps and bounds. It had to be known that in the vast universe galaxy, as well as the 3,000 Great Tao in his mind, there wasn't a single cultivation method or ultimate technique that could directly temper the soul. The only way to strengthen the soul and increase the soul force was to passively withstand pressure, heavenly punishment, illusions, emotions, and so forth. There was also the increase of one's boundary and passively tempering one's soul force. But this brother and sister actually had an ultimate technique that specifically enhanced their soul force. This was simply too shocking. However, as he thought of their backgrounds, this was also a matter of course. Since their master was able to condense a life mark, he naturally had astonishing attainments in the soul. "Brother Chen Hao, these are things that I want to exchange for spirit fruits with you. Take a look at how many you can exchange for and give them to my junior apprentice sister." At this time, the youth opened a white jade bottle in his hand. A rich and alluring medicinal fragrance wafted out. "This is?" Chen Hao had a surprised look on his face. He looked at the 7-colored bean-sized pills in the bottle and asked. Chapter 726. Soul Refining Pill. When you cultivate the soul healing technique that my junior sister taught you, take one pill and you'll get twice the result with half the effort. It'll also increase your soul energy faster. It can also heal people with soul injuries. This soul refining pill should be considered precious to you. The young man said uncertainly, "Of course it's precious. Although Chen Hao's spiritual altar is very strong, it hasn't been tempered. It's obvious that he doesn't have any soul refining technique. Moreover, I don't see any memories of the soul refining pill." The young woman interrupted. Through the young woman's memories, Chen Hao knew what the spiritual altar was. In their minds, the spiritual altar was the collective name for the soul, state of mind, and will. "That's right. Brother, your soul refining pill is much more precious than my spirit fruit." "That's good. If Brother Chen gets more spirit fruits, you can find us in our cave abode. We'll still use the soul refining pill to exchange with you. My junior sister and I are restricted by the restrictions that our master left behind. Before we reach the heaven celestial stage, we can't leave the space of 100,000 miles. The young man finally could not hold back and took out a spirit fruit to eat. Although he tried to control himself, the joy in his eyes was obvious. However, the truth was that the spirit fruit was just like what the young man had said. It was useless to them. As for why, Chen Hao did not know. "All right, that's not a problem. I have a lot of good food here. However, with the 9 restrictions, I can't open the space in my mind. When the time comes, you can find me in the core area. With your cultivation base, you don't have to worry about anything. I'm afraid no one in the primitive mystic realm is your match. Brother Chen, you're too humble." "I might not be your match," the young man said shyly and embarrassedly. "How is that possible? You killed more than 10 spirit clan cultivators with just a wave of your hand." "I can't do that. That's because their souls were too weak. You're different. Your spiritual altar is as clear as jade. Even your soul gives me a sense of danger. My divine ability can't harm you. Your body and true core strength aren't any weaker than mine. If I fight you, I only have a 40% chance of winning. Moreover, you're just at the Earth's celestial stage's medium stage. I'm at the Earth's celestial stage's late stage. So strong. No wonder senior brother was so fierce to me. He was afraid that I would be in danger. The young girl thought to herself when she heard her senior brother's words. The grievance on her face instantly disappeared, and she said, "Senior martial brother, I just told Xianxia that when I'm 18 and we become Dao companions, I'll go look for him, okay? The outside world is so exciting." "Good. It's just, Brother Xianxia, can you do it?" "Of course. As long as you are willing, I can take you to my universe. But, brother, you and your junior sister should have a name." This? Although our master left behind many memories, he did not give us any names. Since we are going to follow Brother Qin to your universe, why don't we take on your surname? Surnames? We specialize in soul cultivation. Junior sister will be called Qinling, and I will be called Qinhan. Sure, my name is Qinling, hee. Brother Qin, what do you think? Pretty good? It's just that Xianxia seemed to be in a difficult position. Brother Qin, tell me. You are the life imprints of your master, born from heaven and earth. This is an extremely shocking existence in our universe. You must not let anyone know. Also, you must not let anyone know that you are from this primitive mystic realm. Once this is revealed, it will lead to unimaginable consequences. There is no problem with both of you taking on my surname. When you come to our universe, you will appear as my younger brother and sister. But both of you are Dao companions. So, I think it's better for both of you to take on my surname. Yes, my name is Qinling Qianhao, you will be my big brother from now on. Big brother, you can change your surname with senior martial brother. The young girl said excitedly. How about Li Yang? Li is another one of my surnames, and you have the extreme young immortal spirit body. Qianhao said directly. Liang, but since junior sister is your younger sister, I will call you Big Brother. Big Brother, this cave abode was left behind by our master's lifelong enemy as well as his lifelong best friend. Big Brother, you might have the opportunity to obtain it. Li Yang accepted Qianhao's arrangement easily and changed the topic. He looked at the reddish gold door and said, "Lifelong enemy and lifelong best friend?" Hearing Qianhao's doubts, Li Yang did not waste any time. He formed a milky white memory ray and sent it to Qianhao. "I see," Qianhao said. Qianhao seemed to have seen the scene of two peerless geniuses from back then, competing and fighting all the way, yet appreciating each other's talents. This senior is on the opposite end of the spectrum from our master. Our master mainly cultivates his soul and uses his spirit altar to refine his physical body before surpassing his physical body. However, this senior is the opposite. He mainly cultivates his physical body and uses his physical body to refine and nourish his spirit altar, allowing his spirit altar to transform into his physical body and achieve the unity of his spirit and body. Big brother, your physical body is very strong, so you have a high chance of obtaining his inheritance. The inheritance memory that our master left for us was originally for junior sister and me to obtain. Our master thought that an extreme yang or extreme yin immortal spirit body would definitely be able to obtain it. Unfortunately, I failed a year ago. You saw junior sister's situation before. She couldn't open it at all. Big brother, give it a try. If you can obtain this senior's inheritance, after junior sister and I become one, we will impart our master's ultimate skill to you in exchange for this senior's ultimate skill. As long as we can combine our master's and this senior's ultimate skills, we will definitely become the strongest in the universe. Okay, I'll give it a try. Qianhao was already excited without Li Yang's words. For Qianhao, who had already found his own path, ordinary ultimate skills could no longer arouse Qianhao's interest. However, the brother and sister's ultimate skills were extremely important to him. How could the inheritance left behind by the senior who had been able to compete with their master for a lifetime be weak? Moreover, he would definitely leave behind treasures such as magic treasures and elixirs. Big brother, the restriction on this door is very powerful. You have to be careful. I tried to open it just now when I was in danger. Not only did I fail to open it, but I was also attacked. The young girl, Qinling, called Qianhao Big Brother very smoothly. But Qianhao took a deep breath and released his powerful soul perception. He stared at the golden door and approached it step by step. When he was 10 meters away, he stopped. He didn't immediately make a move. Instead, he carefully observed the complex and mysterious runes on the door. Chapter 727. Senior Brother, does Big Brother really have a chance? The young girl, Chen Ling, had a little fear on her face. She looked at Chen Hao, who stood in front of the crimson gold door without moving for a full 3 minutes. She turned her head and said to her senior brother, "I attacked forcefully just now. My mind was almost destroyed, and my body was also heavily injured by the pressure that was released in an instant. Lower your voice. Big Brother Chen Hao should have a chance. Master cultivated us with a heaven-defying ability, allowing our bodies to break away from the mortal body. It made up for the flaw of Master's soul cultivation. In the same realm, no one should be stronger than us in terms of body. As for the spiritual altar, it's our advantage. From the birth of intelligence to our birth, countless years have passed. Even if our souls were not complete before we were born, under the talismans and energy that Master cultivated, we were strengthened to the point where we surpassed celestial immortals. This is also the reason why we reached such a realm in just over 10 years after we were born. However, I can feel that Big Brother Chen Hao is stronger than me in both body and spiritual altar. He just doesn't know how to use the spiritual altar. Those cultivators just now came from the same universe as Big Brother Chen Hao. They can't be compared to Big Brother Chen Hao. The difference between a firefly and the sun. If Big Brother Chen Hao can't obtain it, who can? Senior Brother, I still don't understand. In the memories that Master left for us, he said that we had to try under extreme yang and extreme yin conditions to obtain his inheritance. But Big Brother clearly doesn't have an extreme yang or extreme yin constitution. Isn't that because you're lazy? I was born a year earlier than you. Look at your current battle prowess. Master has passed down his memories to us. He has also left us many cultivation manuals and secret manuals. You have never seen any of them. Once we become one, we will step onto Master's path and there will be no changing it. Master's original intention was for one of us to inherit this senior's legacy. Then, through the two of us becoming one, we'll try to break through their extreme Tao. Extreme Tao can be understood as a deviant Tao or a deviant Tao. There were a myriad of grand Taos, but all paths led to the same destination. Although that was the case, only the righteous path would allow one to avoid detours and reach the peak. In fact, in the end, Master understood that he and this senior had their strengths and weaknesses, but they were unable to break through the shackles and step onto the true peak. Unfortunately, Master went against the heavens and condensed us, but he was still unable to obtain this senior's inheritance. Li Yang stared at the motionless Chen Hao as he spoke softly to his junior sister. Although he was only 1 year older than his junior sister, Li Yang was different from his playful and lazy junior sister. Before the spiritual platform was completely built, he had already begun to digest and absorb the legacy memories that could be opened. After he was born, he even crawled into the training manuals and manuals left by his master. In terms of knowledge and cultivation, he far surpassed his junior sister. No, in the blink of an eye, 4 hours had passed. Just as Chen Ling was about to collapse from waiting, Chen Hao suddenly uttered these 2 words. "Big Brother, you haven't even tried it yet. Why did you say no?" Chen Ling's figure flashed and appeared in front of Chen Hao. She frowned slightly as she looked up at him. Li Yang also appeared silently next to Chen Hao and asked, "Big Brother Chen Hao, are you trying to decipher the runes?" "Yes, it's a pity that these runes are completely beyond the scope of my comprehension. I can't decipher anything even though I've already immersed my mind into them. That's for sure. Big Brother Chen Hao, with this senior's level, the runes that he condensed casually aren't something that we can comprehend. Moreover, this is something that he specially left behind for his successor. I think we can only force our way through. Of course, with our strength, we can't force our way through." "Senior brother, isn't that the same as not saying anything?" Chen Ling asked. "I understand. What you mean is that we can only find the way to open it by attacking forcefully?" Chen Hao seemed to be lost in thought as he spoke. "That's right. I think this senior mainly cultivated his physical body. Since he chose his successor, he must have extremely high requirements for his physical body. Not necessarily. Senior brother, you said earlier that since our master understood that he and this senior were both at the extreme grade, perhaps this senior also understood it? In that case, it's very likely that he has extremely high requirements for his spiritual altar. In any case, after we obtain his legacy, we can temper our physical body and improve it quickly. Chen Ling suddenly said. Her clear and bright eyes shone with intelligence. What junior sister said makes sense. Could it be that there are requirements for both the spiritual altar and the physical body? Your physical body and spiritual altar are very strong, but you didn't succeed either, Chen Hao said as he looked at Li Yang. Although Li Yang said that he was stronger than him, Chen Hao could sense that Li Yang was definitely not inferior to him in terms of physical strength or soul strength. If they really fought, Chen Hao felt that he didn't even have a 10% chance of winning, let alone 40%. Perhaps this senior has already excluded me and junior sister. Li Yang pondered and said, in the letter that master left behind, he mentioned at the end that when he was condensing my and junior sister's life imprints, we once offered to help this senior to condense his successor, but we were rejected. Master was very angry and said that we didn't know what was good for us. This is also the reason why Master left a message for us to try. Brother Chen Hao, try it. No matter how we discuss it, there won't be any results. Don't worry, the runes on the pure gold door will only injure people, not kill them. With me here, as long as it doesn't hurt your foundation, I can help you recover instantly. Okay, you guys step back. Boom. Chen Hao's essence, qi, and spirit burst out instantly. His spiritual altar and physical strength were activated to the extreme. However, he didn't use any special skills. Bang. Suddenly, he stomped on the ground, causing the mountain to shake and the earth to shake. His body was like a dragon coming out of the abyss, and he threw out a punch. It was a simple punch, but it gathered all of Chen Hao's strength. Although it didn't contain any special skills, it was enough to smash an ordinary expert at the peak of the later stage of the Earth's celestial stage into powder. Brother is so powerful. Chen Ling opened her eyes wide and finally understood why her senior brother said that he only had a 40% chance of winning against Chen Hao. Although this punch did not contain any supernatural power or law, she, who mainly cultivated the soul, could clearly sense how strong Chen Hao's spiritual altar was. His soul power, willpower, and state of mind were all shining brightly in his mind. He was almost invulnerable to all spells. It was impossible to attack his soul. Moreover, she was sure that if Chen Hao knew how to attack his spiritual altar, the divine thought that entered Chen Hao's mind would be annihilated directly. Moreover, she had obtained most of Chen Hao's memories, so she knew very well about Chen Hao's past. Apart from the mysterious memory from the Azure planet, his current strength was achieved step by step through arduous cultivation. His difficult childhood, poor cultivation environment, and countless life or death situations. That was how he had achieved today's achievements. Compared to her and her senior brother's unique conditions, he was thousands of miles away. This was also the reason why Chen Ling accepted Chen Hao as her big brother so easily. At this moment, Chen Hao's punch made her eyes filled with admiration. It was admiration from the bottom of her heart. Chapter 728. Hi. Rumble. The moment Chen Hao's fist touched the crimson gold door, his spirit, soul, and physical strength burst out like a river bursting through a dam or a volcano erupting. Chi. At the same time, on the crimson gold door, the complicated and mysterious runes rose up with dazzling light and a terrifying pressure, like the rebound of a mountain, surged and enveloped Chen Hao. Instantly, Chen Hao felt numerous profound talisman markings flow along his fist and pour into his body, soul, and body. At the same time, it was as if he'd entered into a tsunami of raging waves that surged into the sky, yet it was also as if he'd fallen into a sandstorm that covered the sky and covered the sun. Dragons and elephants galloped over his soul, and darkness swept out like a fierce blade that sliced apart every inch of his flesh. Pooh! Without any suspense, Chen Hao spat out a mouthful of blood. His pitch-black eyes were filled with shock. This was the first time that Xianhao felt the aura of death from the collapse of his body and the shattering of his soul. It was irresistible, unstoppable, and his life and death were beyond his control. Big brother. Retreat. Qianling and Liang were shocked by the scene in front of them. Even they did not expect Xianhao to choose to condense all the strength in his body into his fist and directly take the attack head-on. Before this, Liang had tried many times. Although he had thought about directly contacting the gate with his body, every time, as long as he gathered his strength, he could not get within 2 meters of the golden gate. He would be seriously injured by the rune power that suddenly burst out. However, Qianhao punched the gate hard. But at this moment, the pressure and power of the runes on the door were too terrifying. Even Liang, who was dozens of feet away, felt like his body was being crushed and his spiritual altar shattered, not to mention Xianhao, who was enveloped by the power of the runes. Liang didn't want Xianhao to die like this. Although he looked mature on the surface, he had a childish heart that wasn't inferior to his junior sisters. Just like how he knew that eating those spirit fruits wouldn't have any effect on his cultivation, he was still greedy for their delicious taste. He, who had never left this place, was also full of curiosity and endless longing for the outside world. Although he had seen many cultivators during this period of time, the only one who could make him have a good impression of and had a connection with was Qianhao. If he died like this, he and his junior sister did not know when they would meet such a powerful person who had no ill intentions towards them. Therefore, even though he knew the danger, when he saw Qianhao spitting out blood, his body was about to shatter, and his spiritual altar shattering, he still condensed a great void handprint as fast as he could, and tried to pull Qianhao. Boom! However, as soon as Li Yang's giant handprint touched the runic light, it was annihilated. Don't come. I've entered the test. At this moment, Qianhao suddenly said with difficulty. His aura was rapidly weakening, but his physical body was on the verge of collapse, and his soul in his mind was on the verge of turning into fine powder. The only thing that Li Yang saw was the cracks in his spiritual altar, but they had already stopped. Qianhao was bathed in blood, but his horrified eyes were shining with a touch of determination. He was very clear that in that moment, if the pressure and power of the runes had wanted to kill him, he would have already been turned into powder, his body and soul destroyed, but it did not. Just when Qianhao felt that he was going to die here, the runes that had poured into his soul and body no longer attacked him. Instead, they shuttled through his soul and body, and even swept through Qianhao's memory cells one by one. Voila, the stunned Liang and Qianling stared at Qianhao with a trace of worry and excitement. It did not last long. 3 breaths after Qianhao stopped Liang from saving him, the terrifying pressure and power of the runes suddenly changed, as if it had turned into the Milky Way of the 9 heavens, pouring down. At the same time, the golden door shone with a dazzling white light, like a space-time gate, and Qianhao's body turned into a stream of light that disappeared into it. The white light disappeared, and everything returned to silence. He went in. It's opened. Liang and Qianling held hands tightly, looking at each other with shock and joy. Big brother is really amazing. Junior sister, you? Let me see Big brother's memories. In the future, we'll follow Big brother to another universe. Let me know more. No. You were so fierce just now. Qianling rolled her eyes. I'm just afraid you'll be in danger. Besides, without Big brother's permission, it's fine to exchange memories, but it's a big taboo for you to peek at his privacy. Junior sister, let me see. I'll give you more of those spirit fruits, I'll ask for less. Liang said. I was the one who wanted to exchange the spirit fruits. You wanted to eat them, so you pretended. You wanted to see Big brother's memories, so you pretended. Ahem. Okay, let me see. Li Yang's face turned red, and he said a little awkwardly, if you show me, I'll tell you a secret. What secret? Senior brother, do you have a secret from me? Psst. You didn't study hard, you didn't even read master's letter. I naturally have secrets that you don't know. Then I'll go back and see for myself, hee. Up to you. Li Yang gloomily let go of Qianling's hand, looking angry. If Qianhao saw Li Yang like this, he probably would not be able to connect the current Li Yang with his previous mature performance. This was clearly a little boy who had not yet fully developed his mind. Don't be angry, I'll give it to you. That's more like it. Hearing junior sister's words, Liang turned around and said with a smile, I'll also tell you, huh? Immediately after, Chen Ling's eyes widened in surprise, and she looked at Liang with confusion. Senior brother, is this true? I don't know if it's true or not. This is only master's guess, because that senior's attainments in the great deduction technique are extremely high. Now it seems that it should be true. What an interesting world. Big brother Chen Hao is so powerful. Li Yang answered junior sister's question while he digested the memories that junior sister sent over. Bam! The white light dissipated, and Chen Hao fell to the ground like a dead pig. Did I come in? Forcefully enduring the pain of his soul and body being on the verge of collapse, Chen Hao struggled to sit up. With a glance, the empty underground space was like an independent world. The ceiling and walls of the cave were dotted with countless stars, and the sun and moon hung high in the sky, surrounded by celestial light. Ancient divine dragons circled and danced in the air, ancient mammoths stepped on the ground and had their heads above the blue dome of heaven, the auspicious holy beast draconic horse that was awe-inspiring and mighty, the divine beast Qilin that released the boundless power of the earth, and many other ferocious space beasts that Chen Hao had never seen before. They stepped on the stars, had the sun and moon above their heads, and all of them were lifelike and emitted a real pressure. Could it be true? Chen Hao opened his eyes wide in shock. Originally, he thought that these should be pictures carved on the ceiling and walls of the cave, but after carefully observing and sensing, he discovered that the lifelike stars, sun, moon, and ferocious creatures not only had a real pressure, and every detail could be seen clearly. More importantly, the material was not the material of the walls at all, but as if the sun, moon, stars, and ferocious beasts had been forcefully driven into the walls by a supreme true body. Chapter 729. This is a true almighty. Chen Hao took a deep breath and calmed the shock in his heart. In the past, he had only heard of such an existence in the legends recorded in the vast universe galaxy. But when he saw the traces left behind by an ancient almighty, he was still shocked beyond words. How strong did one have to be to pluck the stars and capture the moon, to shatter the galaxy with a punch? If not for the fact that these ancient divine beasts that had been condensed into the rock walls had lost their lives, just the pressure alone would have been enough to destroy Chen Hao. But now, just the pressure left behind by the corpses made Chen Hao feel irresistible. The sun, moon, and stars above the cave ceiling were also not carvings, but condensed into the rock walls. But it could not be the real sun, moon, and stars. Chen Hao did not know what the truth was, but he could sense the terrifying energy contained in it, and this energy was the foundation of maintaining the cave of inheritance. What is that? When Chen Hao struggled to stand up, he saw a sunken, circular pool in the middle of the underground world. The pool had a diameter of 10 zhang and it radiated a 7-colored light. Runes covered its surroundings to form a barrier, making it impossible to see what was inside the pool. Chen Hao was shocked. On the other hand, there were densely packed linear grooves around the pool, extending in all directions. Chen Hao observed carefully and found that the linear grooves extended to a circular bowl-shaped groove that was only half a meter in diameter directly below the corpses of the ancient divine beasts. What do these ancient divine beasts have to do with the central pool? These linear grooves seem to be connected to the central pool and the ancient divine beasts. The seriously injured Chen Hao walked forward step by step. Although the pressure was getting stronger, it did not harm Chen Hao at all. After a while, he arrived at the edge of the central pool. Moreover, Chen Hao found that as he approached, the 7-colored light that shrouded the pool seemed to be getting brighter and brighter. The 7 colors flowed and the celestial light lingered, and a faint fragrance was emitted. This fragrance was not any that Chen Hao knew of. Just by breathing in a little, Chen Hao felt like he was floating in the clouds. The pain in his body and soul that was on the verge of collapse was also greatly reduced. It's too strong. Just the smell increased my recovery speed by more than 10 times. What is it? It's unlikely that it's an elixir. This is a pool, could it be? Chen Hao suddenly looked again at the ancient divine beasts that had lost their lives and were still emitting pressure after so many years. Originally, the appearance of these divine beasts made Chen Hao feel strange, but at this moment he suddenly understood what was going on. No matter what posture the ancient divine beasts took, their center would always be facing the bowl-shaped groove beneath them. Although the grooves that led to the central pool had long since dried up, there were still traces of the past left behind, faint, different-colored crystalline lights. A blood pool. A pool of blood formed from the blood of the 100 most powerful divine beasts in the ancient times. The reason why it's not blood is because it's the blood of the top ancient divine beasts. No matter if it's a human or an ancient divine beast, when the body is tempered to the limit, it will mutate. The snowy night has different colors. After it gathered in the blood pool, it became 7 colors. After being sealed by runes, although many years have passed, the bloodline aura hasn't dissipated. It was only when I broke through the seal and entered here that the rune seal slowly opened. Therefore, I didn't smell the fragrance at the beginning, but now I smell it. Soaking the body in the blood of powerful beasts is the most direct way to temper the body. And this senior mainly cultivated the body. The spiritual altar turned into a physical body. This blood pool must be the place of inheritance. When Xianxia's emotions surged and he slowly reached out to touch the 7-colored light, a terrifying devouring power suddenly came. Not to mention that Xianxia did not resist. Even if he did, it would be useless at this moment. Plop. The viscous 7-colored liquid instantly drowned Xianxia. In just an instant, a strong fragrance began to enter Xianxia's body from his nostrils and even his pores. At this moment, the comfortable feeling from before completely disappeared. What replaced it was that the cells in his body were attacked by a violent energy and almost instantly collapsed. At the same time, Xianxia's immortal foundation appeared to be under endless pressure, but it was protected by a mysterious wave of energy. He fell into a state of half awake and half asleep. Everything became hazy, and the pain of his cells collapsing could be faintly felt. The pain of his soul shattering and spiritual altar collapsing was reduced by 100 or 1,000 times. A tall and mighty figure, like a war god, appeared in Xianxia's hazy consciousness. The sound of the great Tao rumbled, and the laws of the divine ability filled the air. A vast amount of information was passively integrated into Xianxia's memory. In his hazy state, there was no shock, no fear, and no desire to investigate. There was only a hazy, half-asleep, half-awake state accepting everything that was integrated into his mind and body. Inheritance. This was a true inheritance. Inheritance was not only an ultimate Tao technique, but also an inheritance of memories and a supreme opportunity to be reborn. This could be considered as a continuation of life. In the world's strongest divine beast blood pool, Xianxia was in a daze. His body and spiritual altar had already collapsed the moment he entered and integrated into the blood pool. If there was an outsider, they would not be able to see Xianxia at all. This was because he had already disintegrated, his soul and body completely disintegrated. However, the profound ancient runes allowed Xianxia's shattered everything to maintain a subtle connection that was scattered and continuous. It could be said that he had already turned into a blood pool. Time passed by minute. After an unknown period of time, the churning blood pool gradually calmed down. There were only light ripples, and endless bloodline power slowly gathered at the core of the blood pool. The blood pool was like a placenta, the blood of divine beasts was like amniotic fluid, and Xianxia was like a baby gradually taking shape in his mother's womb. He was in a daze as if he had just gained intelligence. He was hazy and had no consciousness. There was only a strand of feeling, experiencing the process of his own evolution. His flesh and blood were reorganized, and his spiritual altar was rebuilt. As time passed, Xianxia became more and more awake. The more awake he was, the more intense the pain he had to endure. He could not even faint. His body could not move, but his soul would not be destroyed. He was forced to endure endless pain and endless pressure. For the first time in his life, Xianxia wished that he could die quickly. But no matter how he thought, it was useless. After he was completely awake, Xianxia was constantly roaring in his mind. He gritted his teeth and endured. The sea of bitterness seemed to be boundless. Outside the cave, outside the golden door, Li Yang and Qinling sat cross-legged facing each other. Their palms were pressed against each other, and their bodies shone with a bright light. Yin and yang qi intertwined and circled around them, emitting an extremely terrifying spiritual pressure. Someone else is coming? Suddenly, Liang opened his eyes, and two rays of light flashed past. Senior brother, let me. Just watch. Chen Ling also opened his eyes, and there was a trace of excitement on his face. Yes, the people coming are getting stronger. Be careful. Also, don't kill the innocent, got it? If no one spreads the news, what are we going to eat? Chen Ling said. It had been half a year. Chen Hao had stepped into the cave for an entire half a year. In this half a year, 6 batches of cultivators had broken into this underground world. However, they were all stopped by Liang and Chen Ling. They did not even have a chance to approach the golden door. Of course, the two of them did not kill people casually. They only punished them slightly and secretly took away spirit fruits. From the beginning to the end, the people who came did not know of their existence. They were completely confused and were chased out of the underground world. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 730. Half an hour later, Chen Ling returned to Li Yang's side, slightly disappointed. The people who came this time only had these few spirit fruits? What a waste of my energy. Fortunately, these spirit fruits look good. Senior brother, I'll give you 3 and I'll take 4. Junior sister, I'll split them equally with you. If you're like this, I won't split them equally with you next time, Liang said with a frown. At this moment, he did not have the demeanor of a senior brother at all. Instead, he was like a calculative child, staring at the tender spirit fruits in Chen Ling's hand. In the past 6 months, the two of them had been acting as Chen Hao's protectors. Apart from cultivating, their greatest joy was eating spirit fruits. However, even with the continuous flow of cultivators, the number of spirit fruits was far from enough to satisfy the needs of these two gluttonous fellows. It was not easy to obtain 7 spirit fruits, and both of them were drooling. Stingy. You're my senior brother, but you're not modest at all. I'll give you half. Chen Ling said with a twitch of her lips. Then, she bit off half of a spirit fruit and handed it to Liang. After receiving it, Liang directly put it into his mouth, closed his eyes, and chewed and swallowed with great enjoyment. Crunch. Crunch. Soon after, the eyes of the brother and sister opened wide as if they'd eaten the most delicious spirit fruit in the world. In an instant, they'd finished their remaining 3 spirit fruits, and they still looked as if they hadn't had enough. It's delicious. This spirit fruit is better than any spirit fruit we've eaten before. Unfortunately, there's too little. Junior sister, did you search thoroughly? I've opened all the packages and there's only these. Big brother still hasn't come out. It's been half a year and there's no news at all. Big brother said that there's plenty of delicious food in his mind. This senior is not inferior to our master, and everything might be under his control. Therefore, this inheritance is probably not simple, and it's normal for it to take a long time. Junior sister, oh no. While Liang was speaking, Chen Ling's eyes suddenly lost their luster, and she was about to collapse. Liang was shocked and wanted to help Chen Ling up, but his vision turned black, and he collapsed without thinking. 1,000 miles away. Commander Du, we've completed the mission. As expected, they only stole our spirit fruits. Is this really okay? We'll know later. How was your situation just now? Let's talk as we walk. The cultivator called Commander Du said. This person was one of the top 30 Earth immortals in the temple, Du Jing. He was a disciple of a top sect in the vast universe galaxy, Poison King Valley. His combat strength was terrifying, and what was even more terrifying was that his poison techniques had reached the acme of perfection. He had already obtained the qualifications to cultivate the Poison King Sutra. In the Sacred Hall, if the disciples of the same level dared not provoke the 4 berserk dragons, then Du Jing would be avoided like a snake. With the Sutra of the Poison King in his body, the slightest carelessness could lead to him falling into its trap. It was impossible to guard against it, and the mere mention of it would cause one to pale in fright. The situation that we encountered was basically the same as what Zhu Fei and the others encountered. When we discovered the underground world, before we had time to go down, we became muddle-headed. When we woke up again, the spiritual fruits in our bags were gone. Commander Du, what on earth was that? If you want our lives, I'm afraid we won't be able to resist at all. If I'm not mistaken, it should be the guardian spirit beast of the underground world. The primitive mystic realm has collapsed for so many years. It's not strange for a powerful land of inheritance to give birth to a guardian spirit beast. Moreover, its soul power is definitely much stronger than yours. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to interfere with your minds. Unfortunately, its weakness is also very obvious. It's a gluttonous, auspicious beast. It doesn't kill and is gluttonous? Du Jing's eyes shone with excitement as he said, "Fortunately, I broke through to the heaven immortal stage and took out some divine medicine that I prepared this time." Commander Du, what kind of divine medicine did you plant in the spirit fruits? Can it kill that spirit beast? I still have lingering fears when I think about it. Although it didn't show itself, when it lured us out, it left a warning. If we dare to enter again, it will take our lives. Kill? How can I kill it? An auspicious beast. With such a powerful soul power, if it becomes my pet, with the help of its soul power, who in the primitive mystic realm would be qualified to be my enemy? Don't worry. The divine medicine I used this time is the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm made by the previous valley master of the Poison King Valley personally. I used my sect's strongest poison technique, that's Poison King Sutra, to put it into the spirit fruits. It's colorless, tasteless, and untraceable. If it wasn't gluttonous, I wouldn't have been able to subdue it. But no. As long as it swallows the spirit fruits, no matter how strong its soul power is, as long as it's not Daluo Jinxian, it will be slowly swallowed and controlled by my soul-devouring parasitic silkworm. Then, it will become my auspicious beast. If we can get the inheritance and treasures of the underground world, the rewards this time. Commander Du is amazing. It's our fortune to be able to follow Commander Du. Don't worry, Du Jing, will never mistreat my own people. The greater my rewards, the greater your rewards. With the divine medicine in hand, I'll become a heaven immortal. After I get this auspicious beast, you can follow me and roam the primitive mystic realm. You, the few of you don't have to follow me. Immediately split up and go to the city ahead to find out about Chen Hao. He must have many treasures on him. When the time comes, I only want the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core. The rest will be yours. Yes, Commander Du. Du Jing was one of the experts who had temporarily broken free from the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing when Chen Hao had triggered the heavenly punishment. He had also triggered the heavenly punishment and become a heaven immortal. Before that, even though he coveted the core of the Tao manifestation immortal fruit, he didn't dare act rashly. Firstly, Chen Hao's strength was too strong. Secondly, the powerful saint medicine he'd prepared for the primal secret realm this time was sealed within the space of his mind, and he was unable to take it out. Otherwise, he would definitely be one of the Orioles. He even dared to fight for it with Humanyang. But now, he had encountered a rare opportunity to step into the celestial immortal realm. He also took the opportunity to take out his sacred medicine. Unfortunately, Chen Hao left too quickly. Many cultivators who had stepped into the celestial immortal realm, especially Humanyang and the others, could not find any trace of Chen Hao. As for Chen Shui, the sisters, Long Ting and the others, they did not dare to act rashly. After all, the treasure was not with them and they had to be wary of their mysterious origins. Similarly, without a good reason to fight for it, they did not dare to act rashly against a few people who might be direct descendants of the Divine Temple's upper echelons. Because the token would record everything. Du Jing led more than 10 cultivators with powerful auras and quickly headed towards the entrance of the underground world. When he saw the deep valley that suddenly appeared before him, Du Jing was even more excited. The dense heaven and earth spirit chi and the heavenly Tao nomological laws were definitely stronger than any place he had encountered in the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing. This was only the periphery. Commander Du, be careful. We were confused when we advanced a little further. Don't worry. Du Jing took the lead and walked up quickly. The energy and divine thought were circulating all over his body. He was not as sure as he said. Of course, he had to be cautious. Let's go. There are no more problems. When there was no response, Du Jing said. His body swayed and he jumped down like an agile ape. What a magical place. I'm looking forward to it more and more. Let's split up and look for the auspicious beast in the water. Remember, after you find it, don't act rashly and inform me immediately. Don't touch it, or even your souls will be devoured. Before falling into the lake, Du Jing saw the underground world on the other side of the lake at a glance. After giving the order, he jumped up and stepped on the water and quickly headed towards the opposite side. Although more than 10 cultivators wanted to go directly to the underground world on the other side, they did not dare to disobey Du Jing's order and jumped into the lake one after another. Buzz, 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 buzz. When Du Jing, who emitted the aura of a heavenly immortal realm expert, charged to the other side and noticed the profound crimson gold door, he was even more extraordinarily excited, and he didn't notice in the slightest that the cultivators that dove into the lake had only gone a short distance before terrifying rumblings sounded out in their minds one after another, and they didn't even have the time to let out a cry before losing consciousness. In the depths of the lake, the one who went in is an expert in the heaven celestial stage, very powerful. It seems to be much stronger than Big Brother's aura. Well, a sinister guy. He poisoned us. This poisonous insect is very powerful. Although it can't do anything to us for a while, it will take us some time to refine and destroy it. Now I have to divide half of my spiritual strength to resist the poisonous insect. What should we do? It will be bad if he affects Big Brother. Chen Ling frowned and said, Probably not. We are just afraid that other cultivators will disturb Big Brother. How can it be so easy to enter? Moreover, Big Brother has already gone in, so no one will be able to go in. Although this guy's spiritual altar has reached the heaven celestial stage, it is not as pure as Big Brother's spiritual altar. As for his physical body, it is even more incomparable to Big Brother's. At most, he can attack the door. He should not affect Big Brother. Junior sister, when I lure him away, you leave immediately. No. Senior sister. Even if I refine the poisonous insect, I am afraid I am not his match. I should lure him away and deal with him. Otherwise, we will all die in the hands of this sinister villain. Don't fool around. Once you leave the spiritual lake, his senses will instantly lock onto you. Listen to Senior Brother. After I lure his attention away, I will directly escape to our cave abode. As long as I escape to the cave abode, he will not be able to do anything to me. After I refine the poisonous insect in the cave abode, it will be time to kill him. Don't act rashly. After you leave this place, refine the poisonous insect first. After that, you should be able to avoid his senses. 3 days. After 3 days, come back here and wait for Big Brother to come out of seclusion. Remember, don't be greedy in the future. If anyone comes again, kill them if you can, and don't appear if you can't kill them. Not allowing Qinling to refuse, Li Yang pointed his finger, and a pure divine thought suddenly imprisoned Qinling temporarily. Chapter 731. Senior Brother. Qinling's eyes were filled with tears, but she could not move. 5 minutes later, my divine will be unsealed. Following Li Yang's words, a ball of milky white light appeared between his eyebrows and merged with Qinling's mind. Junior sister, this is something I've learned more than you. When your spiritual altar reaches my level, it will be unsealed. Li Yang patted Qinling's head gently and looked at her affectionately. He did not say anything else and disappeared silently. Senior Brother. Qinling's tears gushed out. Unfortunately, she could not even make a sound. An ominous feeling filled her heart. If they had woken up earlier and left this place earlier, they would not have met Du Jing before he arrived. If Du Jing had arrived a few minutes later, if she and her senior brother had not been greedy, unfortunately, there were no ifs. Although the powerful poisonous insects and the saint-level soul-devouring parasitic silkworms couldn't take their lives, they couldn't refine and eliminate the invisible soul-devouring parasitic silkworms, which were the natural nemesis of souls, in a short time. This caused her and her senior brother to lose their absolute advantage in the spiritual altar. Although their bodies were powerful celestial spiritual bodies, they were only at the earth celestial stage. The intruder was a heaven celestial. Without the soul-devouring parasitic silkworms, she and her senior brother would not lose even if they could not kill the intruder. But now, there were no ifs. What a complicated and mysterious rune. I can't understand it at all. Forcefully breaking through. This aura seems very dangerous. Du Jing stood in front of the crimson gold door and sensed it for a few minutes. He did not dare to try rashly. Why didn't any of them come out? Turning around, Du Jing walked over to the lake. The surface of the lake was still, without even the slightest ripple. Du Jing frowned slightly. He wanted to let his subordinates try it first and see how it went. He was cunning and vicious by nature. Before he figured out the mystery of the crimson gold door, he did not want to test it. If there was labor, he would use it. But at this moment, a water arrow suddenly shot out of the water. A figure appeared before Du Jing's eyes. I've discovered something. You're courting death. Although Du Jing was surprised when he saw the figure that popped out of the water, he did not pay much attention to it. After all, that figure was one of his followers. However, before he could finish his sentence, he felt a dangerous aura that made his hair stand on end. The energy in his body instantly reached its peak, and his soul strength circulated at a high speed as he sent out a palm strike. Rumble! The terrifying energy directly exploded, breaking the tranquility. The lake water splashed, and the follower's corpse was directly turned into fine powder. However, a streak of light escaped upwards as fast as lightning. What? A human-shaped auspicious beast? At such a close distance, Du Jing instantly locked onto a faint fluctuation coming from the other party's mind. It was the fluctuation of the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm, which had a certain connection with him, but could only be sensed from a very close distance. Where do you think you're going? Needless to say, Du Jing also knew that his subordinates were all finished. In his anger, coupled with the preciousness of the humanoid auspicious beast, Du Jing had no reason to give it up. At the same time, he activated the Poison King scripture in an attempt to control the other party. However, it was a pity that the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm didn't listen to him at all. It seemed like it was restricted by a powerful soul power. The two figures, one in front and one behind, were as fast as the wind and lightning. Du Jing, who had stepped into the heaven celestial stage, sensed the aura and speed of the other party, and he became excited. It was just an auspicious beast at the earth celestial stage, and the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm couldn't subdue it. How powerful was it? Moreover, the aura of the other party's body was untainted by the aura of the mortal world. It was agile and elegant, and obviously, it was also very powerful. However, at this moment, Du Jing had absolute confidence that he could subdue it, because of the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm. Auspicious beast, stop obediently. You can't escape. In the future, if you follow me, Du Jing, I will treat you well. You can enjoy all kinds of precious spiritual fruits. Wouldn't it be great to bring you around the world? Although your speed is not slow, it won't take long for me to catch up with you. You're just struggling in vain. How long can you withstand the pain of the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm? Stopping is the only way for you to get rid of the pain quickly. As long as I activate the Poison King scripture, I can make you complete the transformation in a short time. Bang. What answered Du Jing was Li Yang's crazy speed. Li Yang originally wanted to exchange his death for a chance to escape for his junior sister. It was impossible for him to be a match for an expert in the heaven celestial stage, especially when he only had 30 to 40% of his power. He told his junior sister that the only chance of survival was to escape back to the cave residence, but that was just to comfort her. With a distance of 40,000 miles and only 30 to 40% of his power, how could he escape the pursuit of an expert in the heaven celestial stage? Moreover, although he didn't know the name of the poisonous worm in his mind, he could judge its ability based on its nature of devouring souls. Once the spiritual altar was completely devoured, he would no longer be himself, but a puppet that had lost its self-consciousness and was controlled by others. Therefore, what he had to do now was to buy time for his junior sister as much as possible. Facing Du Jing, who was powerful and fast, Li Yang had no choice but to increase his power crazily. He increased it by reducing the power of his soul to resist the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm. The pain of having his soul eaten by thousands of worms almost made Li Yang collapse, but the obsession in his heart to protect his junior sister made his spiritual altar more and more crystal clear, and his will was indestructible. Auspicious beast, you're asking for trouble. Boom. Seeing that he was about to catch up, he didn't expect the other party's speed to increase. However, through the fluctuations from the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm, Du Jing knew that the humanoid auspicious beast increased its speed by reducing the power of the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm. Therefore, he didn't panic. Senior brother, it's so boring. When can we be born? Junior sister, our spiritual wisdom has been fully formed. If we want to be born, we have to concentrate on condensing immortal qi. Senior brother, it's been 1,000,000 years again. I'm going to die of boredom. Senior brother, you're born. Woo-woo, it's all your fault for not concentrating on cultivation. Don't cry, I'll help you. Yes, senior brother is the best. Senior brother, I'm finally born. Senior brother, what's this? Spirit fruit, it's very delicious. Junior sister, try it. Senior brother, I still want to eat. I'll go find it with you. However, you have to concentrate on cultivation and catch up with me quickly. Senior brother, what's the use of you always looking at these? Play with me. These are the books that Master left for us. We're humans, so we have to learn how to be humans. Come and take a look. I don't want to read it. Senior brother, Master's memory said that when we reach the peak of the later stage of the Earth's celestial stage and have similar strength, we can combine yin and yang and become cultivation companions. What is cultivation companions? Cultivation companions. It's a man and a woman who are always together and will never be separated. Senior brother, I've obtained Big Brother's memory. Why do I feel like we're brother and sister? Brother, sister? Senior brother. I also feel like, I'm just teasing you. Look at how sad you are. Soon, we'll become cultivation companions. The endless pain of having his soul devoured made Li Yang fall into a state of madness. In his mind, he recalled the countless years since he and his junior sister were born and the changes after they met Xianhao. His junior sister, who had obtained Xianhao's memory, had finally grown up and understood the true meaning of cultivation companions. Although his junior sister was joking, he didn't take it seriously. Heaven's secret. Even his powerful master couldn't completely control the life condensed by heaven-defying means. The trajectory had already changed. He no longer doted on his junior sister. He fought with her for spirit fruits and bickered with her. His thoughts were simple and pure. He wanted to let his junior sister understand that they weren't brother and sister, or let her choose to give up on him and become cultivation companions so that she wouldn't have to worry about herself. All he wanted was for his junior sister to still be happy. With Big Brother taking care of you, you'll definitely be happy. 10 minutes should be enough for his junior sister to escape. Li Yang's clean and spotless spiritual altar finally began to tremble violently. Junior sister? Again? Senior brother? Big Brother is here. You can't die. I can't live without you. Senior brother. Just as Li Yang gathered all his strength and prepared to explode his spiritual altar and destroy the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm at the same time, a familiar voice seemed to pierce through the void. It was a voice filled with tears, anxiety, and grief. Li Yang's heart trembled, and he suddenly stopped urging. He turned around and saw two figures. One of them was like a god, cutting through the void with a golden spear. The man and the spear were one, releasing a destructive pressure and a divine power that could tear the sky apart. It covered Du Jing, who had pushed him to the edge of life and death. The other was his junior sister, who was frantically rushing toward him on the ground with tears and anxiety on her face. Xianhao? Du Jing, who was suddenly enveloped by a terrifying pressure, also turned around and saw Chen Hao, who was like a god descending from the heavens. He was so frightened that he forgot the fact that he was already a heaven immortal. In fact, it was useless even if he remembered, because Chen Hao's aura was too terrifying. He had no choice but to stop and frantically gather energy to meet Chen Hao's attack. Boom! With a loud explosion, the spear radiance and the sword radiance met. Du Jing was sent flying backward, spitting out blood. Chen Hao did not even look at Du Jing, who was sent flying backward. A bright brilliance suddenly rose from between his eyebrows and disappeared into Li Yang's glabella. The majestic, terrifying, and pure soul power suddenly protected Li Yang's soul residence completely. Ling, take good care of brother Yang. Well? Thank you, brother. Chen Ling said with a sobbing tone. She did not stop and rushed toward Li Yang. Senior brother? Ooh, ooh. Chen Hao stomped his foot, causing the mountains and rivers to tremble. Like a cannonball, he rushed toward Du Jing, who was desperately trying to escape. Fear, there was only boundless fear. The spear just now had almost taken his life. At this moment, he did not have any thoughts of fighting with Chen Hao. There was only one thought in his mind, which was to escape. Chapter 732. He slaughtered Chen Lin, killed Bai Yen, destroyed Moling Takshu, humiliated Hu Mainyang, and killed the 4 berserk dragons. What else did Chen Hao not dare to do? He did not see anything else with his own eyes, but he had witnessed Chen Hao's cold-bloodedness and arrogance when he fought the 4 berserk dragons alone. He had thought that he had the ability to kill Chen Hao and snatch the Tao manifestation immortal fruit since he had stepped into the heaven immortal realm and taken out the divine elixir. He had even sent his subordinates to search for Chen Hao's whereabouts. But now, Chen Hao's spear had destroyed all his confidence and scared him out of his wits. Huff, huff. Listening to the sound of the wind retreating rapidly, Du Jing felt that he was about to fly even under the 9 restrictions of immortal ceiling. It was as if a small universe had erupted and his speed had broken through his limits. If he had such speed when he was chasing Li Yang, he would have caught up with him long ago. I have to get rid of him no matter what. He's a lunatic. A demon. He has no scruples at all. Get rid of him. I have to get rid of him. Quick, I have to be faster. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I, Du Jing, am the top genius of the Poison King Valley and have already stepped into the heaven immortal realm. As long as I can walk out of the 9 restrictions of immortal ceiling, I can shine. I want to be famous and gather thousands of providence. I can't die. In the face of life and death, Du Jing's small universe erupted and he performed beyond his limits. His speed was extremely fast. His ears were filled with the howling wind and his eyes were filled with the rapidly retreating scenery. There was only one thought in his mind. Faster! Faster! Only in this way could he escape from the clutches of this lunatic. But boom! The earth trembled. Boom! The tremors were even more intense. That was the sound of Chen Hao's violent power stepping on the ground and soaring into the air. With every step, he flew more than 10,000 feet in the air. Under the 9 restrictions of immortal ceiling, one could not fly. What did it mean to be able to fly more than 10,000 feet in the air? When the tremors of the earth became more and more intense and the explosions became louder and louder, Du Jing, who was desperately escaping, finally came to his senses. Boundless fear instantly made his hair stand. It was also at this moment that a figure that seemed like a bolt of lightning passed over his head and fell down with a loud bang. Pointing his spear diagonally, he blocked in front of Du Jing like a mountain. The terrifying pressure and the violent aura of an ancient ferocious beast enveloped Du Jing like a mountain or an ocean. Chen Hao, what are you trying to do? We don't have any grudges against each other, and we're not fighting over anything. No enmity. You dare to touch my sister and brother-in-law, and you call that having no enmity with them? Don't talk nonsense. When have I ever touched your sister or brother-in-law? I don't know him at all. The 2 people just now are them. Impossible. Impossible. That's an auspicious beast. Rue, your mother. Chen Hao stabbed out with his spear. The spear transformed into a divine dragon. causing the world to change colors. Don't kill me. If you kill me, they won't live either. Suddenly, the spear light disappeared. Chen Hao really kept his spear. Du Jing, who could clearly feel the arrival of the Grim Reaper, turned pale and broke out in cold sweat. But he didn't dare to hesitate and continued. They were hit by the saint-level soul-devouring parasitic silkworm that the old valley master of the Poison King Valley specially refined for me. Other than me, no one in this world can save their lives. Don't think that you can stop my saint silkworm just because your soul is strong. As long as you're not Daluo Jinxian, you won't be able to lock onto the saint silkworm. The only result is that your soul will be eaten away bit by bit. If you kill me now, you'll definitely regret it. Is that so? If you don't believe me, you can try. I can wait. I won't resist, I'll let you seal me. Are you resisting? I'll let you live for now. Chen Hao waved his hand and formed a huge hand that covered the sky. It covered Du Jing. Sure enough, this guy didn't resist at all and allowed Chen Hao's energy to enter his body and seal his strength. Du Jing heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. His mind worked quickly as he thought of a way to escape. He had full confidence in the saint-level soul-devouring parasitic silkworm, but he didn't have any confidence in Chen Hao, this lunatic. It seemed like there was nothing in this world that could make this lunatic apprehensive, Du Jing of the Poison King Valley. His combat strength is extremely strong and his poison skills make people avoid him like he's a snake or a scorpion. He has obtained the true inheritance of the Poison King Valley's supreme technique, the Poison King Sutra. Chen Hao looked at the sealed Du Jing and slowly spoke of the news he heard from the cultivators in the past few years. Du Jing of the Poison King Valley was a famous existence. Although he wasn't as strong as the 4 wild dragons, he was more terrifying. Don't worry, with my body sealed, although I can still use the Poison King Sutra to activate the saint-level poisonous worms, you can easily kill me before you die from the poison. I only ask for my life. If you're still worried, you can seal my soul again. It's good that you understand. You're very confident, Chen Hao said coldly. His handsome face revealed a touch of cold arrogance. As he spoke, he opened his 5 fingers and a heaven-concealing palm appeared in his hand. He picked Du Jing up like he was picking up a chicken. His figure swayed and he soared into the sky. In an instant he was 10,000 feet high. Chen Hao didn't seal Du Jing's soul, but Du Jing widened his eyes in horror. He understood the meaning of Chen Hao's words, "You're very confident." Under the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing, Chen Hao, who was only at the medium stage of the Earth's celestial stage, could use the Grand Void handprint to lift him up. It wasn't strange that he could launch such an attack, but it was shocking that he could maintain it. What was more shocking was that Chen Hao, who was using the Grand Void handprint, could reach such a terrifying speed while carrying him. Du Jing felt that he was an ant when he sensed Chen Hao's aura at such a close distance. He was at the Heaven Celestial stage. Although he had just stepped into the Heaven Celestial stage about half a year ago, he was still a Heaven Celestial. As for the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing, Chen Hao was also among them. What kind of freak is he? Originally, he, who knew his own limits, did not plan to poison Chen Hao. Because it was just as he had said, once anything went wrong, Chen Hao would definitely kill him at the first possible moment. There was no need for that. Now, he didn't dare to have any other thoughts. Bang! When they arrived at Chen Ling and Li Yang's side, Chen Hao threw Du Jing on the ground as if he was throwing garbage. "Brother, thank you." Li Yang, who was sitting cross-legged, said gratefully to Chen Hao. His face was pale, but he struggled to stand up. "Brother, I'm sorry." Chen Ling, who was supporting Li Yang, said to Chen Hao apologetically. "What are you talking about? Don't forget that you're my younger brother and sister. Don't say such things again." Chen Hao said seriously, "But I interrupted your inheritance. You saved Big Brother. My goal is to reach the real peak, not to take a shortcut. However, I might never be able to reach the real peak of the extreme Tao. If you didn't interrupt me, my soul and body would have merged," Chen Hao said. Previously, when Li Yang lured Du Jing away with the intention of dying, it took less than 2 minutes for the crazy Chen Ling to break through his seal. Chen Ling knew very well that the only person who could save her senior brother was Chen Hao. Chapter 733. If she chased after him, she might not even be able to catch up to him, let alone save him. Even if she did, she would be courting death. If her senior brother died, she wouldn't be able to live on by herself. They had depended on each other for countless years, and her senior brother was already the other half of her life. Although her senior brother didn't say much, she knew that her seemingly intelligent senior brother didn't understand her feelings when she casually said that they were more like siblings. She couldn't let her senior brother die with regrets, and she couldn't let him live alone. She only said those words because she wanted her senior brother to treat her like a Tao partner, and not always preach to her and dote on her like a sister. The moment she watched her senior brother disappear in front of her eyes, her heart was so painful and so angry. Why was she imprisoned and couldn't even speak? She would rather the two of them die in battle. She crazily and recklessly broke through the seal left behind by her senior brother and rushed towards her only hope. She crazily bombarded the pure gold door and screamed for Big Brother Chen Hao at the top of her lungs. At that time, Chen Hao's physical body had already been formed, and his spiritual altar had been reforged. He was still absorbing the essence blood of hundreds of ancient divine beasts and enduring endless pain. He was awake, but also muddle-headed. The huge tremors from the pure gold door and Chen Ling's screams with all her strength made Chen Hao truly awake. Chen Hao was right. The inheritance wasn't interrupted when he was completely awake, but Chen Hao couldn't continue, and he didn't want to continue. If he knew that the inheritance was so terrifying, he wouldn't have even started. Because he felt that his soul and body were fusing, and his soul was showing signs of turning into a physical body. That wasn't what he wanted, even though it could allow his strength to soar to a terrifying level in a short period of time. After Chen Hao forcefully broke through the blood pool, the entire underground space began to collapse. The anxious and terrified Chen Ling directly condensed her memory light and transmitted it to Chen Hao. Chen Hao instantly understood what was going on. He first used his powerful soul power to seal Chen Ling's soul palace, then pulled Chen Ling and chased after him as fast as lightning. That was how the following scene happened. Big brother, you don't have to comfort us. Since that senior knew about his own flaws, the legacy he left behind would definitely not allow you to walk the same path as him. Liang said, "All right, I have my own Tao. What I've obtained now is exactly what I think is the most optimal state. If you treat me as a big brother, then don't treat me like an outsider. Otherwise, I will really be angry." Chen Hao said seriously. "Okay." Chen Ling and Liang both nodded. "How do you feel?" Chen Hao's expression softened as he asked with concern. "I'm not as good as you guys at using the spiritual altar. Can you refine the poisonous insects?" At this moment, Chen Hao did not have the demeanor of an expert, nor was he cold. It was as if he was a completely different person. All he had was his concern for his brothers and sisters. Du Jing's understanding of Chen Hao was limited to the rumors and the coldness of Chen Hao when he killed the 4 mad dragons. Seeing Chen Hao's current appearance, he simply couldn't believe it. How could a madman, a cold-blooded madman, have such a gentle side? "It should work," Liang said. "Impossible. My soul-devouring parasitic silkworm is invisible and traceless. Only the soul realm of the Daluo Golden Wonderland can capture its tracks. Although your soul power is strong, you can only block it for a short while." Du Jing hurriedly said, "If we were in the outside world, we could find the experts of the Daluo Golden Wonderland to help you. However, in the primitive secret realm, other than me, no one can save you. If you don't believe me, you can try. If you can, just kill me. If you can't, I only ask for my life. I guarantee that I will cure you. I dare say that you are unable to lock onto the Saint Silkworm's tracks. There are a total of 7 of them. You have 4 in your mind and 3 in your mind. You can only use your soul palace as the core to defend against it. You can temporarily defend against it because your soul power is very strong. My Saint Silkworm is unable to digest it in one go. As it continues to devour your soul power, it will become stronger and stronger. With your soul realm, you won't be able to kill it." Du Jing's life was in Chen Hao's hands. If Chen Hao believed Li Yang's words, then Du Jing's fate would be death. Therefore, he had no choice but to reveal the strength of the saint-rank soul-devouring parasitic silkworm. Chen Hao looked at Du Jing coldly but didn't stop him. Try it. Chen Hao looked at Chen Ling and Li Yang. Junior sister, let's try combining. Chen Ling agreed and sat cross-legged facing Li Yang. Their palms touched and their eyes met before they slowly closed their eyes. After a while, the two of them shone brightly. It's no use, Du Jing said softly but confidently. Shut up. Chen Hao shouted at Du Jing coldly. However, Chen Hao didn't dare to threaten them. If the two of them really couldn't refine the soul-devouring parasitic silkworms, they could only rely on Du Jing to use the Poison King Sutra to save them. If they lost their hope of survival and fought to the death, it wouldn't be worth it, or I won't say anything. Brother Chen, the results will be out very soon. If I'm willing, I can use the Poison King Sutra to activate the Saint Silkworms and let the 7 Saint Silkworms enter the mind of one of them. The effect will be immediately apparent. Although Du Jing didn't say anything, he still said to Chen Hao. At this moment, at such a distance, his soul wasn't sealed and he could clearly sense the state of the soul-devouring parasitic silkworms. Naturally, he was very confident. However, he knew that it wouldn't be so simple if he wanted to stay alive. This was because Chen Hao was a lunatic that couldn't be measured by common sense. If he didn't keep his word, what was a promise? Even if he kept his word, how long could he escape after he saved the two of them? With Chen Hao's terrifying strength, he really didn't think that he could hide for long if he wanted to kill someone in the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing, unless he disappeared without a trace and didn't do anything. He was really scared. He was scared out of his wits. After 10 minutes, the light on Li Yang and Chen Ling's bodies weakened, and they opened their eyes with solemn expressions. Needless to say, Chen Hao knew what the result was. Detoxify. I'll let you live. Chen Hao didn't waste any time and said directly to Du Jing. Du Jing looked at Chen Hao's emotionless eyes and couldn't be sure of Chen Hao's true thoughts. Now, it was time for him to raise his conditions. He could ask Chen Hao to bring the two of them into the city where cultivators gathered and make Chen Hao promise in front of everyone. However, if he did that, it would be blackmail. Chen Hao would definitely agree, but what about in the future? He might have to stay in the primitive mystic realm for close to 1,000 years. After staring at Chen Hao and taking a deep breath, Du Jing made a difficult decision. Chapter 734. Brother Chen, I didn't know they were your sister and brother-in-law. I thought they were guardian beasts from the land of legacy, so I cut the crap. Detoxify the poison and I, Chen Hao, will let you live. Alright. But before I detoxify the poison, I, Du Jing, swear loyalty to you, Brother Chen. From now on, you're my boss. As Du Jing spoke, a ripple flashed between his brows. It was a pure soul ripple, but it made Chen Hao frown slightly. You're smart and decisive. I don't need a reason to kill you. I won't talk about principles with you. No one can threaten my family. I know. Du Jing's heart thumped, but he calmed down immediately. His life was saved. Because since Chen Hao said so, it proved that he wouldn't kill him anymore. It also proved that he had made the right bet. A master-servant contract. I only ask that you allow me to call you that. I'm a disciple of the Divine Temple after all, and a true disciple of the Poison King Valley. The world knows that I've become a servant. The Poison King Valley won't allow me to exist anymore. It'll be disadvantageous to you, brother. Du Jing continued. A beam of light shot out from between Chen Hao's brows, and he signed a master-servant soul contract with Du Jing. Then he released the seal on Du Jing and said, You don't have to, brother. Just call me Chen Hao in the future. Don't let anyone know that you're my man for the time being. Save them? Yes. Brother. Du Jing walked directly toward Chen Ling and Li Yang. Buzz. Du Jing's brows emitted a dazzling light, and at the same time, he opened his mouth and emitted an extremely sharp sound wave. The light and sound wave instantly condensed into a complicated and mysterious rune that penetrated Chen Ling's brows first. The Poison King Sutra is indeed not simple, Chen Hao thought to himself as he watched this scene. The mysterious and complicated rune changed thousands of times in an instant. Even Xianxia couldn't see it clearly. Even if he did, it would be useless. It required the corresponding heart sutra and magic to have the same effect. When the rune penetrated Qinling's brows, Du Jing suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood essence. A dazzling, blood-red, enchanting 9-petal lotus appeared between their brows. Buzz. At the same time, Du Jing's lips opened and closed at a terrifying speed and emitted an even sharper sound wave. 3 subtle auras that were invisible to the naked eye but could be sensed suddenly escaped from between Qinling's eyebrows and entered the vessel that Du Jing quickly took out. This is for you. Once you recover, immediately treat my senior brother. Qinling hurriedly took out a jade bottle and poured out 2 soul-refining pills. She handed one to Du Jing and consumed the other. Hiss. 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 As a successor disciple of the Poison King's Valley, Du Jing was not only proficient in poisons, but also in elixirs. However, he had never seen or heard of this soybean-sized elixir in front of him, which was emitting a 7-colored light. However, he could roughly determine its possible use from its aura. Hiss. This is a panacea for the recovery of the divine soul. Hiss. My brother is still in pain. Although Qinling's face was pale, she looked much better without the pain caused by the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm. Hiss. 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 Okay. When the soul-refining pill entered his mouth, it instantly transformed into an extremely pure soul energy, but it was extremely violent. In an instant, it caused Du Jing's head to be covered in cold sweat, and his soul felt as if it was being fried by fire, falling into extreme pain. Plus, it's a little painful, but it can help your spiritual power recover quickly. Qinling said. Bear with it, Xianxia said, taking over Qinling's words. Although he got a bottle of soul-refining elixir, he had not used it yet. He was a little surprised to see Du Jing in such a state. The elixir was only the size of a bean, but it was so powerful. Its value was beyond his imagination. Yes. Hiss. In a short while, Du Jing's eyebrows were filled with dense qi. His spiritual altar was trembling, his long hair was flying, and his whole body was covered in cold sweat. Hiss. Hiss. Although Qianxia did not have much contact with Du Jing, he knew that Du Jing was a character. He was calm and wise in the face of danger. If the pain did not exceed his limit, he would not be in such a terrible state. Ling, is the soul-refining elixir so powerful? Qianxia could not help but ask. It's so painful. My senior brother and I are in so much pain. If it weren't for our strong spiritual altars, we would have had a mental breakdown from the pain. However, big brother, you don't have to worry. I'm telling the truth. The soul-refining elixir is 10 times or 100 times more painful for cultivators who have not learned the spiritual healing art. My senior brother and I often don't use the spiritual tempering art to refine our spiritual altars. At most, we will faint, but it will not cause any harm to the soul. Big brother. Can you do Ling a favor? Qinling suddenly said to Qianxia shyly. She glanced at her senior brother who was sitting cross-legged and resisting the Saint Silkworm. Tell me. If big brother can help, I will help you. Let me borrow the power of your spiritual altars. Cough, cough. What do you want to do? You can borrow the spiritual altars? Of course I can. I just want to borrow your power. What? I want to see what kind of memories my senior brother left for me. He sealed it, and I can only see it when I reach his level. Qinling said in a low voice. Big brother, you must not help junior sister. What Qianxia and Qinling didn't expect was that Li Yang, who seemed to be undistracted, would actually suddenly open his eyes at this moment and speak rather nervously. His pale face even suffused with red clouds. Junior sister, You absolutely can't look at that thing. If you see it, senior brother, I will kill myself. Chen Ling could not help but laugh. Chen Hao looked at Li Yang's appearance and could not help but laugh out loud. Needless to say, Chen Hao knew that those were definitely Li Yang's last words before he died. Who knew how tear-jerking, touching, and affectionate they were? Now that he was alive, how could he let Chen Ling see them? Senior brother, you're using my move. It's so embarrassing. Chen Ling curled her lips. She had often used the move to threaten her senior brother, and now he was using it on her. Big brother, don't bother about senior brother. Tell me, I'm your sister, you're closer to me than him. Big brother, if you help her, I really don't want to live anymore. I can't participate in your internal battle. Ling, if you want to see it, you have to cultivate properly and rely on yourself. Chen Hao shook his head and said, if I rely on myself, he will immediately snatch away that ball of memory when he recovers. I know him well. Senior brother, unless you promise me that you won't erase it after he recovers, I will kill myself now. Chen Ling looked at the huge protruding rock not far away. She looked like she would kill herself if he did not agree. Li Yang did not think Chen Ling was joking. There were a few times when he compromised a little too slowly, and this girl's head was broken and bleeding. Although it was not fatal, his heart would ache. Helplessly, Li Yang could only agree and said, I promise you, Big brother is the witness, you can't go back on your words. Chen Ling said proudly. Chen Hao shook his head speechlessly with a smile. These two were really living treasures who hadn't grown up yet. The soul-stirring life and death crisis had not passed, and the two seemed to have forgotten it. Chen Hao had originally planned to say a few words for the servant after Li Yang's treatment, but now he didn't need to say anything. 10 minutes later, Du Jing finished absorbing the soul-refining pill like a drowned rat. His eyes were complicated, with both fear and excitement. Although this pill brought him pain that was worse than death, it also benefited his soul a lot, and his spirit was full to the limit. Du Jing did not say much, and directly cured Li Yang and collected the soul-devouring parasitic silkworm. Du Jing, you can go now. Yes, boss. Boss, more than half a year ago, after you killed the 4 wild dragons and triggered the heavenly punishment, many cultivators stepped into the heavenly immortal stage under the influence of the heavenly punishment. Yes, I know that. This was also the reason why I chose to leave back then. Chen Hao frowned slightly and said, after that, did anyone make things difficult for Qin Xiaobai and Longtime? No. To tell you the truth, boss, back then, I also wanted to get the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core. The reason why I came here was also to find traces of you, boss. There were many cultivators who had the same idea as me, and they were all experts who stepped into the heavenly immortal stage at that time. The strongest among them was Hu Mainyang. At that time, the heavenly punishment she triggered was extremely terrifying, more than 10 times stronger than ordinary geniuses. Moreover, some experts who followed her also triggered the heavenly punishment. I believe that with your combat strength, boss, no one can defeat you under the 9 restrictions. Don't beat around the bush, just say it. Cough cough, boss. I think that after breaking through the 9 restrictions, the gap between an earth immortal and a heavenly immortal will truly become obvious. So, I hope that boss can keep a low profile and cultivate in seclusion. It's best if you don't clash with others for the time being. I'm not afraid of death, but I feel that it's meaningless. With boss's potential, once you break through to the heavenly immortal stage, you'll be truly invincible. The 9 restrictions are just a small interlude in the primitive mystic realm. In the future, there's still a vast world and plenty of time. I have my own plans, you can go now. Yes, boss, take care. Both of you, sorry for the offense. Du Jing cupped his fists and turned to leave. Chapter 735. Seeing that Du Jing had disappeared, Chen Ling invited him. Big brother, let's go to our cave abode and have a look. I won't go to your cave abode. Focus on your cultivation and look for me in the core area according to what we said before. Chen Hao said. Big brother, how can we find you then? Don't worry, you'll hear about me when you go there. By then, with your strength, it'll be easy for Big Brother to get your news. That's it, I have to go back to the cave abode to get my package. Let's part ways here. Big Brother, there are more than 10 people with Du Jing in the lake. There should be a lot of things. You can take them as well. Also, take the packages of those I killed last time. They're placed near the golden door, Liang said. Waving his hand, Chen Hao left quickly. Li Yang and Chen Ling only retracted their gazes when Chen Hao had completely disappeared from their sight. Big Brother's spiritual altar and physical body are about twice as strong. If he didn't have to save the two of us and get the complete inheritance, he would be even stronger, Li Yang said. Big Brother hasn't cultivated the soul healing technique that I taught him. If he cultivated it, I really don't know how strong he'll be. We're still mainly cultivating the soul. We can't compare to Big Brother. Chen Ling laughed and continued, Senior Brother, it'll be very interesting for us to follow Big Brother. We'll become stronger and have a lot of delicious food. This time, I'll work hard to cultivate. Let's go, Senior Brother, let's go back. Okay. Hiss, hiss. The two of them held hands and disappeared instantly. No way? When they arrived at the underground world again, Chen Hao was dumbfounded. The deep canyon had disappeared, the lake was gone, and the cliff was thousands of feet high. The surrounding mountains had collapsed completely, covering everything. Although the cave abode had collapsed, Chen Hao did not expect it to be so serious. He was in a hurry to save them. It's a big loss. Chen Hao looked at the mountain-like boulder with a sad and gloomy expression. The cave abode and the underground world were tens of thousands of feet deep. Not to mention that he had the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing, Chen Hao's mana and magic were greatly restricted. Even without the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing, it would take a lot of effort for Chen Hao to move mountains and fill seas. Chen Hao looked at the golden spear in his hand, which he had hurriedly taken away, and the Taoist robe he had snatched from Lan Feng. He wanted to vomit blood. There were a few ancient sacred swords, 2 ancient sabers, dozens of ancient supreme-grade spiritual weapons, relatively precious ancient manuals, powerful ancient elixirs, and most importantly, the soul-refining elixirs that Li Yang and Chen Ling had exchanged with him. Even if these were nothing, the 4 walls and ceiling of the cave abode were inlaid with supreme divine power, and the blood essence of the 100 types of divine beasts in the blood pool. No matter what, they had to dig it out. Wasn't it just a few thousand feet? Wasn't it just a boulder the size of a mountain? It's worth fighting for a few months. After confirming the direction and angle, Chen Hao took a deep breath and prepared to be a mouse. But just as Chen Hao gathered all the strength in his body and was about to split the boulder, a stream of light suddenly escaped from the center of the collapsed ground in front of him. Kid, your things are here. You've already given up on the old man's inheritance, so don't come back. Bang. The huge package fell in front of Chen Hao, and Chen Hao was really dumbfounded this time. He stared at the shadow that suddenly appeared in horror. At this moment, Chen Hao felt that his soul and body were completely imprisoned, and he couldn't move even if he wanted to. The old man calculated all the mysteries of heaven, but he didn't expect that the mysteries of heaven are not unpredictable, but variable. Kid, you are a variable. However, you can be considered half a disciple of the old man, so I'll give these to you. The shadow of the old man stared at Chen Hao and said to himself. At the same time, he pointed at Chen Hao, and a ball of sparkling light suddenly merged into Chen Hao's mind. In the future, if you meet someone who obtains the old man's inheritance, the old man hopes that you will take care of him for the sake of half a master and disciple relationship between us. In addition, you have to treat the 2 disciples of the old man well. In the future, when they unlock the most powerful technique of the inheritance, if you get it, you can compare it with the information I passed to you. Maybe you'll have a chance to comprehend the most powerful technique of the righteous path. Go, the old man's divine consciousness is not much left, and we have to wait for the appearance of the inheritor. Rumble. From the beginning to the end, Chen Hao didn't even have a chance to say a word. After the old man finished speaking, he disappeared. At the same time, the collapsed mountain once again underwent a shocking change. The mountain reassembled, the valley reappeared, and the lake was reborn. Meanwhile, Chen Hao's body was enveloped by a profound energy, and he was directly sent far away. A strand of divine consciousness. It's just a strand of divine consciousness, but it's so powerful. What kind of power is this? What kind of realm does one have to reach to do this? In the blink of an eye, Chen Hao appeared thousands of miles away. However, Chen Hao stared blankly into the distance, and his heart was in turmoil. This was a real expert. A strand of divine consciousness that had existed for countless years still had such unparalleled power. What kind of concept was this? But this old man still didn't stand at the real peak. Phew, I still have a long way to go. I can't bite off more than I can chew, and I can't be scared. I'm just me, and I've only cultivated for a few decades. As long as I keep moving forward, one day, I'll be able to reach this realm. No, surpass him. Step onto the real peak. There's no way out. Chen Hao clenched his fists, and his dazed eyes regained their clarity and shone with a determined light. Since he had chosen to go far, what he left to the world could only be his back. There was no way out. In the cruel world of cultivation, once you started, there was no turning back. Unless you stood at the highest peak, you would always be shackled to the mud, and the circle of competition would become stronger and crueler. Retreat? That was courting death. Thank you, senior. Chen Hao bowed toward the distance. Whether the other party sensed it or not, this was Chen Hao's heartfelt gratitude. He was the one who gave up the inheritance. Although it was more or less an accident, there was no doubt that giving up was also Chen Hao's original intention, Chen Hao's Dao. However, although he didn't receive the inheritance, in just half a year, Chen Hao's soul and physical body had improved by 2 times, and his real combat strength had improved even more. The golden spear picked up the huge package on the ground, and Chen Hao walked toward the distance with firm steps. Although he was curious, Chen Hao didn't immediately open the message that the old man sent him. From the old man's words, he could tell that the old man had not been able to break through to the extreme Dao, and he really only wanted to leave his legacy behind and find an inheritor. Otherwise, the old man wouldn't have told him to combine and comprehend Li Yang and Qin Ling's supreme mental cultivation techniques after obtaining them. Let's go to the nearest city first. It wasn't impossible to cultivate in the wilderness, but if he wanted to compete for the next core palace, he would lose the initiative. That was because he didn't know where the edge to the 7th forbidden was in the wilderness. After entering the city, as long as the core palaces of all the forbidden cities were obtained by cultivators, the city would disappear, and all the cultivators in the city would enter the 7th forbidden area directly. That way, he could rush to the forbidden city of the 7th forbidden area as soon as possible. Chen Hao, who had no intention of keeping a low profile, naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity. If they wanted to snatch the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core from him, then they could come. A heavenly immortal expert? Previously, Chen Hao really couldn't do it, and he had chosen to avoid and leave. Now, however, Chen Hao wasn't afraid at all. Under the tempering of the blood essence of hundreds of ancient divine beasts, his physical body and soul had been greatly improved. In particular, his physical body could evolve on its own, and even his unchangeable bloodline had undergone a mutation. In addition, the battle with Du Jing had given him a rough idea of the power of a heavenly immortal expert in the 9 seals of immortal sealing. What was he afraid of? Kill the enemy as soon as possible. Otherwise, without the restraint of the 9 seals of immortal sealing, it wouldn't be so easy to kill a heavenly immortal expert, or he wouldn't have the ability to kill one at all. Chen Hao couldn't be sure, and he would only know when the time came. Half a month later, a huge city emitting a dense glow appeared in Chen Hao's sight. The golden spear carried a small mountain of baggage, and Chen Hao's aura was reduced by half, returning to the level he was at when he fought the 4 wild dragons more than half a year ago. A smile flashed on his handsome face as he looked at the baggage behind him. It's a little too tightly packed. 1 or 2 ancient divine artifacts should be exposed. Chen Hao had always abided by his own principles, and he wouldn't take the initiative to harm anyone, but he wouldn't be polite to anyone who didn't have eyes. In particular, many experts who had stepped into the heavenly immortal realm were still thinking about his Tao manifestation, immortal fruit core. This should be enough. After revealing the two ancient divine artifact swords, Chen Hao looked at the baggage behind him with satisfaction. At this moment, he was like a fisherman, and the attractive bait had been released, waiting for the greedy fish to take the bait. His goal was simple: to be high profile. Let the big fish who really wanted to deal with him smell the scent, and get rid of as many as he could. Strange, there are so few people? When he stepped into the city gate, what made Chen Hao feel slightly strange was that there wasn't a single cultivator on the streets near the city gate, which didn't make sense. Now that he was about to enter the seventh seal, most of the cultivators who were training outside should be rushing to the city. Previously, the cities in the several forbidden zones were always packed with people. There were cultivators everywhere. How could there be no one now? The city hasn't disappeared. Obviously some of the core palaces of the city haven't been taken yet. There's no reason for there to be no one. Who else is coming? Suddenly, a voice cut through the sky, breaking the silence of the city. Chen Hao was slightly surprised. 5 moves? If you can withstand 5 moves from me, you'll get an ancient supreme-grade spiritual treasure. 10 moves, you'll get an ancient divine artifact. If you can defeat me, all of my treasures will be yours. You've all seen it, I won't kill you. With such a precious treasure in front of you, there's no danger to your life, and you don't have to pay any price. Why, no one dares. The voice that shook the surroundings continued. Chapter 736. Whoosh! Immediately, there was a buzzing sound. Chen Hao released his keen perception, and a look of surprise appeared in his eyes. It wasn't that there was no one in the city, but that everyone had gathered at the core. The reason why he hadn't heard anything before entering was because there had been a brief moment of silence just now. When he was outside the city, he couldn't sense it because of the city's protective light. Who the hell is this person? He's too arrogant. He's not arrogant, he's too strong and ruthless. I've never heard of such a person before. Could it be he's not from the human race? How is that possible? The aura of the human race can't be faked. Although the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing have concealed the aura of the token, it's obviously his real body, and he's indeed the most orthodox cultivator of the human race. Don't forget about the tyrants. The tyrants encompass the 9 major races of the 10 major galaxies. This person might be from the tyrants. Chen Hao, who originally wanted to show up in his real body, changed his mind at the last minute. He restrained his aura again, and at the same time, his appearance changed drastically. He became a hunchbacked old man with the appearance of a granddette. He put the 2 holy weapon swords back into their sheaths and wrapped them up tightly again. He quietly and quickly came to the huge martial arts arena at the core of the city. Countless cultivators were densely packed inside, and their eyes were fixed on the center of the martial arts arena. They were all looking at the arrogant young man with a wild aura around him. "Brother, what's going on?" Chen Hao walked to the side of a young cultivator and asked in a low voice. "You just came in? TSK, what a big bag. Old man, you're really something. There are so many good things in the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing, and you want to take them all? Just throw away the trash, lest you suffer an unexpected disaster. I don't want to criticize you, but although you old people don't have much of a future, you can't joke about your life. If your aura was stronger, I'm afraid you wouldn't even know how you died. Ahem, you're right, brother. I only dare to do this because my talent and strength are poor. Although they're all trash, they'll be valuable in our vast universe galaxy. This person's aura is so strong." Chen Hao changed the topic and looked at the young man in the center of the martial arts arena with yearning eyes. "Yeah, he's ridiculously strong. No one knew where this guy came from, but he had single-handedly seized the core palace of this city. A month ago, he had even obtained the inheritance of the core palace. Then he set up a challenge ring here. He's extremely arrogant. However, he does have the strength to be arrogant." Previously, there was a heavenly immortal expert who was ranked high in the divine temple, but he didn't dare to fight. Does no one know who he is? No one knows him. If you want to know his name, you have to withstand 5 moves from him. But until now, no one has been able to withstand his attacks. Some people suspect that he's a top expert from the tyrants, but I don't think so. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to not kill anyone and only defeat them with heavy injuries. Not bad. I think he should be the disciple of a hidden expert of our human race. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so monstrous. At that moment, a cultivator beside the young man chimed in, 5 moves. 5 moves to obtain an ancient supreme-grade numinous treasure. It's a pity that no one has been able to obtain it until now. A supreme-grade numinous treasure? How great would it be if I could obtain one for my grandson? The old man named Xianxia Grand had a strong desire on his face as he swallowed his saliva and said, Old man, don't even think about it. You're already so old. Don't even talk about 5 moves. You'll fall apart in 1 move, Chi. Suddenly, a bone-chilling feeling descended upon them. The young man who originally wanted to say something immediately shut his mouth. Everyone, including Xianxia, realized that the young man who was emitting a wild aura at the center of the martial arts practice field was actually looking in their direction. Oh no! When everyone's eyes turned to the 2 young men and Xianxia, the 2 young men's faces turned extremely ugly. They hurriedly said, "We didn't say we wanted to fight. This old man just arrived and doesn't know the situation. He only heard about the supreme-grade numinous treasure and wanted to give it to his grandson. We didn't want to fight," the young man who was the first to speak to Xianxia said nervously. As he spoke, he used his hand to tug at Xianxia, indicating for Xianxia to express his attitude. "Brother, what do you mean?" Xianxia asked in a low voice, looking confused. "He heard you drooling over the supreme-grade numinous treasure. Hurry up and say you don't want to fight." The young man had no choice but to remind him. He was also depressed that he did not remind the old man earlier. As a result, when the old man spoke, he did not suppress his voice at all. "Didn't you just say, he doesn't kill people? I really want to get a supreme-grade numinous treasure for my grandson." "You're already so old." "Forget it. Anyway, you won't die. This elixir is for you. After the fight, quickly swallow it to heal your injuries." The young man was angered by the old man in front of him. Originally, he did not think much of the old man with such poor talent and aura. The reason why he spoke up for Xianxia was because he was moved by Xianxia's words about getting a supreme-grade numinous treasure for his grandson. He did not want such an old man to be seriously injured. However, he did not expect the old man to be so persistent. This made him angry and toot. This was because it made him think of his grandfather. He was young, and the cultivation he had today was the result of his grandfather's sacrificing everything for him. Old man, come on up. Don't worry, I'll go easy on you." The young man in the center of the arena laughed excitedly at this moment, his fighting spirit rising around him. This made the surrounding cultivators speechless. Such a weak old man, do you have to go so far? However, no matter who the opponent was, as long as it was on the arena, he would be so excited. This was a natural battle maniac. It was as if any battle could make him excited. "What's your name?" Unexpectedly, the old man did not take the young man's elixir, nor did he challenge him directly. Instead, he looked at the young man beside him and asked, "Don't care what my name is. Take it, you old men. Do you think your grandson will be happy to do this? There's no danger to his life this time, but what if he dies? Perhaps your grandson only wants his grandfather to live, you know?" As the young man spoke, he stuffed the elixir into Xianxia's hand. However, he still could not control his emotions, and his eyes actually glistened. "Brother Mo, this is the healing elixir that we risked our lives to obtain. You're only going overboard with 2 elixirs, and you're actually giving it to him?" The young man beside him said in surprise. "Hurry up, old man, hurry up." The wild young man urged. "Surnamed Mo? What a coincidence." Hearing the words of the young man beside him, Xianxia was slightly surprised and thought to himself. He looked at the young man who gave him the elixir with a strange expression and said, "I'll take this elixir." After Xianxia finished speaking, he carried the huge bag and quickly walked to the center of the arena. The crowd had already parted to form a long and narrow path, watching this thin and stooped old man. Chapter 737. This old man is quite pitiful. Pitiful my ass. He must have been blinded by greed. With such a big bag, he must have been picking up trash. He didn't even let go of any trash. Don't say that. He has already exhausted his talent. It is already not easy for him to obtain the qualifications to enter the primal mystic realm. He knows that there is no room for improvement, so he naturally wants to bring more things back. Although it is trash here, it will be valuable when he returns. In order to get an ancient top-grade spirit treasure for his grandson, he dares to fight with such a fierce person. His courage is commendable. An ancient top-grade spirit treasure was not something that the top-grade spirit treasures of the vast universe star system could compare with. In the outside world, it was possible to exchange it for a lower-grade saint artifact. That was a treasure that most cultivators would never be able to obtain in their lifetime. Old man, what is your name? What sect are you from? Tell me. Once we step out of the primal mystic realm, I will give you an ancient top-grade spirit treasure. Don't go up and fight. There is no hope. Believe me, I am a man of my word. Giving it to you now will only bring you disaster. So, I can only give it to you after we leave. When Xianxia saw that he was about to reach the core, a female cultivator beside him suddenly pulled on Xianxia's arm and whispered to him. After Xianxia changed his body shape, he was small and skinny. The young girl was half a head taller than him. Just by looking sideways, he could see the young girl's full breasts. On her breasts, there was the symbol of a temple disciple. Thank you, young miss. I think I should get it myself. I don't deserve it. Xianxia said a little awkwardly. He had disguised himself as an old man because his bag was too big and eye-catching. Only by doing so would people think that he was an old man cultivator who came in to pick up trash. He had originally just wanted to watch the show. He did not expect that his casual words that matched his current status would attract the attention of the wild cultivator at the core of the martial arts practice field. Since that was the case, and the other party had placed a huge bag at the core of the martial arts practice field, Xianxia was a little tempted. Then let's fight. A meat pie had fallen from the sky. If he didn't accept it, he would be punished by the heavens. But Xianxia did not expect that his words of doing it for my grandson would cause the youth, who had taken the initiative to greet him because of his figure and appearance, to be moved to the point of tears. He even gave him an ancient healing elixir. He also did not expect that this female disciple of the divine temple would give him an ancient supreme-grade spirit treasure. This made Xianxia very surprised. Since when were there so many good people in the world of cultivation? Old man, listen to me. Not to mention that you have no hope of taking 5 of his moves. Even if you do, can you keep the supreme-grade spirit treasure? The girl frowned slightly when she heard Xianxia's words, but she didn't give up. She pulled on Xianxia again, lowered her head, and said with concern. Actually, I'm not as weak as you think. Thank you. Xianxia once again broke free from the girl's grasp. His figure flickered, and although his aura was still so weak, it was as if he had disappeared into thin air, leaving behind an afterimage. In an instant he had crossed 1,000 feet. What? It can't be. I actually misjudged him. The female disciple from the divine temple muttered to herself as she looked at the skinny and hunched figure of Xianxia. The young man with the surname Mo, who had given Xianxia the pill earlier, also widened his eyes in shock. Could it be that he's hiding his aura? That's impossible. Under the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing, anyone would be able to tell if he's hiding his aura. How could there be no flaws? Could it be that he's faking his appearance as well? At this moment, everyone was dumbfounded. No one would have thought that this weak-looking old man was actually an expert. That's great. Old man, it seems like you're the kind of person who likes to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. Why don't you show me your true appearance? The wild young man at the center of the training ground was also slightly taken aback, but soon after, he became even more excited. If you take 5 of my moves, I'll tell you my surname. If you take 10 of my moves, I'll tell you my name. If you can defeat me, everything in my bag will be yours. Of course, if you lose, everything that's yours will also be mine. To everyone's surprise, the skinny and hunched old man said something even more arrogant than the wild young man. Interesting. I can't see anything special about you. It seems like your soul energy has reached a terrifying level. Even I can't compare to you. This kind of battle is more interesting. I accept your challenge. This is the rule that I set up in the arena. As for your bag, forget it. If I lose, I'll give it to you. If you lose, you don't have to give it to me. You're looking down on my things? Chen Hao said calmly. Buzz. As he spoke, the long spear that was carrying a bundle had an ugly appearance, and only had the aura of an ancient upper-grade spiritual weapon. It was not even a soul treasure. Suddenly, it let out a trembling sound and immediately shone with a bright golden light. Ancient holy artifact? Everyone was in an uproar. The young girl and the young man who had helped Chen Hao were sweating in their hearts. The long spear that they used as a fire stick was actually a holy artifact. The young man gave Chen Hao elixirs and the young girl promised to give Chen Hao an ancient top-grade spiritual artifact. They were afraid that this old man would not even care about them. How could that huge bag be filled with trash? Not only did this old man hide his aura without any flaws, he could even hide the aura of an ancient holy artifact spear. It's just a holy artifact. I said that I don't care about it, so I don't care about it. It's just a worldly possession. Let me show you mine. The wild young man originally did not mean to look down on Chen Hao. He was indeed not interested in magic treasures. However, he did not expect that he would be looked down on by his opponent. At this time, seeing that the fire stick in his opponent's bag was actually an ancient holy artifact, it also aroused his hidden competitive spirit. While, as the young man spoke, he shook his hand and threw his huge bag on the ground. Suddenly, a bright light rose up and a strong murderous aura, pressure, and treasure aura soared into the sky. Oh my God, this can't be real, right? How can a person have so many treasures? They had long known that this wild young man had many treasures. However, seeing it with their own eyes still blinded many people. There were 4 ancient holy artifacts, 30 to 40 ancient top-grade spiritual artifacts, and many unique jade slips. The precious materials were definitely not inferior to the ancient holy artifacts. When the wild young man heard the exclamations of the surrounding cultivators, there was a trace of pride on his face as he stared at Chen Hao and said, "Is it better than mine?" Just when everyone thought that Chen Hao would also take out the treasures in his bag, Chen Hao smiled and said, "What a child. Not bad. These treasures are still worthy of my attention. It's worth fighting with you. What did you say? Old man, if you can't win, just say so. Why are you so thick-skinned?" Chapter 738. Can't win? I'm giving you some face. Since you said so, I'll show you. Look carefully, I'm just casually picking out a few items from the surface. It'll save me some trouble to pack them up. Chi. As Chen Hao spoke, he casually opened the bag and pulled it down, revealing a few treasures. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he casually picked out 5 or 6 items. Every one of them looked like trash, but with a wave of Chen Hao's hand, their real aura instantly bloomed. Every one of them was a divine artifact. Do you still want to take more? Cough. No need. You can only say that you're lucky to have so many treasures. What we're competing on is strength. But, according to what you said earlier, if I win, what's yours is mine. That's how I look up to you, and that's how it is. The wild youth was extremely shocked in his heart. He could have so many treasures because he had killed countless foreign experts. However, Chen Hao's bag wasn't any smaller than his, and the few items he casually took out from it were all saint artifacts. This was too abnormal. What was there to compete with? At the same time, the wild youth wasn't as confident as before. Thus, he very shamelessly changed his promise. The crowd erupted into a wave of boos. What are you shouting for? Who wouldn't be tempted by this old man's treasures? I'm tempted, what's wrong? The wild youth's face was a little red, but he said bluntly, releasing a terrifying aura. Everywhere his gaze passed, there was a dead silence. Pack it up for me first? Chen Hao said. What? Pack it up for you? The wild youth originally responded, but immediately glared angrily at Chen Hao and said, "What's the use of staring? It'll be mine in a while. Old man, you're really boasting shamelessly. Stop talking nonsense, let's fight." Young people are so narrow-minded. Fine, since it's destined to be mine, then I'll pack it up myself. Don't touch mine, I'll pack it up myself. Chi chi chi. The wild youth finally realized that talking to this old ghost was too shameless. Therefore, he decisively picked up the treasures on the ground and threw them next to Chen Hao's bag with a bang, saying, "Put them together. In any case, they'll be mine in the end." Boom. After saying that, he violently gathered his energy, and a terrifying pressure directly enveloped Chen Hao. Obviously, he didn't want to talk nonsense with Chen Hao anymore. He didn't want to be angered to death before the battle even started. Bang. At this moment, Chen Hao also took a step forward. His stooped figure instantly straightened like a sword, and his essence, qi, and spirit soared into the sky. His original weakness and age disappeared in an instant, as if he was an unsheathed sword. Step back. Retreat if you don't want to die. Crash. There was no need for Chen Hao and the wild young man to say anything as the surrounding cultivators began to retreat. This was definitely a showdown between top-notch experts. Getting too close to them would be courting death. Thump, thump, thump. Roar. The wild young man's eyes suddenly turned scarlet, and the tendons, bones, muscles, and blood all over his body began to boil, making terrifying cracking sounds. In an instant, a fierce wind rose, and a vast and majestic chi of blood was released. As he roared, the roar of an ancient primeval beast automatically reverberated. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, a phenomenon that made everyone gasp appeared. The air within a radius of several hundred feet was continuously exploding because of the wild young man's aura. His black hair danced wildly, his clothes fluttered, and his eyes were scarlet, as if an ancient ferocious beast had arrived. Is this his real strength? It's too terrifying. No wonder all the experts in the heaven celestial stage chose to avoid him. I'm afraid that old man is no match for him, right? The contrast brought about by the old man pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, as well as the fact that he revealed more and more powerful magical treasures, originally made many cultivators think that the old man must be an extremely terrifying expert. In particular, his confident performance and relaxed appearance gave people the feeling that he was certain to defeat the wild young man. But now, the wild young man's aura made everyone no longer so sure. This physical body is too abnormal. Since when did the human race have such a terrifying bloodline? This or could he be from there? In the crowd, several experienced and knowledgeable cultivators looked at the wild young man in a different light. It must be. I should have thought of it earlier. Only someone from that place could have such a strong physical body. Huff, huff, boom, boom, boom. The wild young man's powerful aura pressed down on Chen Hao, causing strong gales and air explosions around Chen Hao. But what was shocking was that the skinny old man allowed the strong gales to hit him in the face, and his aura did not change at all. Even his Taoist robe did not move at all. He is indeed very strong. This is really abnormal. Such physical strength. If I had not been refined by the blood essence of hundreds of divine beasts, I'm afraid there would be a big gap between me and him. Chen Hao, whose appearance did not change at all, narrowed his eyes. How could he be so strong? The wild young man stared at Chen Hao and was also shocked. If Chen Hao had violently gathered his aura to resist, it would have been fine. But Chen Hao's aura was condensed on his body, and it was limited by his Taoist robe, so it did not leak out at all. To be able to do this, it was definitely not something an ordinary cultivator could do. Old man, now I am very curious about who you are. Come on, take my punch. The wild young man finally could not help but take the initiative to attack. Boom! With a punch, the space shook and the sky changed color. It was so vast that it was as if mountains were collapsing and rivers were surging. The fist shadow contained the aura of ancient fierce beasts, and it rumbled toward Chen Hao. All the onlookers' faces changed dramatically. This punch was too terrifying. This wild young man had been in the arena for a month, but he had never shown such terrifying strength. Many of the experts present felt that if they were to take this punch, they would immediately become minced meat. I will fight with you with my physical body. Chen Hao's eyes suddenly emitted a scorching light, and his skinny figure stepped out with a bang. Pitter-patter. Chen Hao took a bow, spun his waist, and threw a punch. Along with Chen Hao's rhythmic movements, clear cracking sounds came from his thin and small body. Roar. At the same time, Chen Hao's roar, as the strength of his physical body condensed, he let out a long roar that tore through the sky. The roar shook the 9 heavens, and the fist turned into a dragon. Boom. Rumble. Many onlookers' ears were ringing, and their minds were trembling. They stared in horror at the violent collision of strength that was as powerful as the collapse of mountains. The first move. Bang. The wild young man bent his body and took a step forward, shooting toward Chen Hao. His body was like a bow, and his fist was like an arrow. The fist shadows were heavy, and the fist momentum was overwhelming. In the face of such a powerful and violent attack, Chen Hao did not retreat. Instead, he advanced. The same moves, the same punches, the same speed, and the same frequency. Their fists met. Boom, 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 boom. All the spectating cultivators were dumbfounded. The wild young man's physical strength was monstrous, and they had long seen it. However, this frail, skinny old man's physical strength was not inferior at all. He was not at a disadvantage at all as he exchanged blows with the old man's fists. One had to know that each of his fists had the power to destroy mountains and rivers. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 739. Your physical body can match mine? The wild youth was shocked at the center of the collision. His fist was aching faintly. The thin old man in front of him had an aura that was even more similar to that of an ancient vicious beast. 5 moves have passed. Old man, what's your surname? The wild youth asked as he punched. He was getting more and more curious about Chen Hao's identity. According to the patriarch, within the vast universe galaxy, there was absolutely no one at the same boundary that could contend with his mortal body. Although the old man in front of him had used some unknown method to hide his real aura, since he was an old man who had entered the primitive mystic realm, he should be at the peak of the advanced Earth celestial stage. It was unlikely that he had become a heaven celestial by chance. After all, he was an old man. If he had not broken through after so many years, it must be a problem with his understanding, not his skills. How rude. Don't you know how to introduce yourself before asking me? Okay, old man, you are very powerful. We won't be able to determine the winner within 10 moves. Why don't you tell me everything? Listen carefully, I am a disciple of the Manhuang tribe, Coiling Dragon. Boom, boom, boom. Coiling Dragon of the Manhuang tribe? What a domineering name. What kind of tribe is the Manhuang tribe? Why haven't I heard of it before? Chen Hao didn't hesitate in the slightest as he asked this question with ease. You old man, I don't know if it's because you are ignorant or because the Manhuang tribe hasn't appeared for 10,000 years that you have forgotten. Cut the crap, tell me who are you? Don't be so thick-skinned as to hide your real identity. Coiling Dragon seemed to have infinite strength, and his attacks were even more ferocious. My surname is Chen. As for my name, let's see if you can last 10 moves. Dragon Subduing Palm. I'm the Chen Fist of Destruction. Roar, boom, boom, boom. Chen Hao slapped out with his palm and 18 gigantic blood-colored dragons gushed out from his boundless blood chi. The roars of the dragons howled and the shadows of the dragons overlapped. This was a dragon-subduing palm that did not contain any true core strength. It was completely formed by his blood chi. Since Chen Hao wanted to defeat his opponent with his physical body, he would not use any true core strength. Under the 9 restrictions of Celestial Sealing, it was not easy to use runes to increase one's strength. However, this martial arts technique from Earth could release even more power. Coiling Dragon's scarlet eyes narrowed. He hadn't expected Chen Hao's so-called dragon-subduing palm to be real. Moreover, that terrifying power had increased by several times in an instant. This made him feel immense pressure. He really hadn't expected the old man to be so strong. Barbarian God Technique. Boom! Not daring to hesitate, Pan Long immediately used the secret technique of the Manhuang tribe. His body emitted a dazzling golden light. He, who was already tall to begin with, suddenly grew 3 times bigger. He was like a Manhuang giant. His fist, which was the size of a small mountain, punched out with a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Bang bang bang, rumble. When the fist and palm met, it was as if the sky was about to collapse from this terrifying energy. Chen Hao and Pan Long were sent flying at the same time. What a terrifying secret technique! He's actually so strong, the muscles and bones in their bodies felt like they were about to shatter. Both of them were overwhelmed with shock. 10 moves have passed. Oh man, say your name. Coiling Dragon wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said with vigor. However, he did not attack immediately. Who is he? His surname is Chen Hao. Could he be Chen Hao? It is said that his physical body is extremely strong. That's not very possible. Although Chen Hao is very strong, how would he dare to show himself now? Many experts of the heaven celestial stage are chasing after him. Hiss hiss hiss. Just as the crowd was discussing animatedly, Pan Long stared at Chen Hao and waited for his answer. Suddenly, dense waves of energy spread out from Chen Hao's body. His originally small and thin body gradually grew taller. His face and body emitted cracking sounds as he transformed into a tall and slender figure in an instant. His wrinkled old face smoothed out, and an extraordinarily handsome and angular young face appeared before everyone's eyes. But Chen Hao. He's Chen Hao? It's really Chen Hao? No wonder he's so strong. Amazing, too amazing. Is he Chen Hao? At this moment, all the cultivators were in an uproar. Even if some of them thought of Chen Hao, they would simply deny it. This was because no one thought that Chen Hao would dare to show himself. After all, the news of him possessing the Tao manifestation celestial fruit and being pursued by Hu Mainyang and other experts of the heaven celestial stage had long spread. How would he dare to show himself in the city? Even if he did show himself, he would continue to hide. However now, Chen Hao had revealed his true identity. You're that Chen Hao? How dare you say my name is domineering? You even dare to fuck the heavens. I've heard about you a long time ago, and I've wanted to fight with you for a long time. I didn't expect you to be even stronger than the rumors say. Pan Long said excitedly. The battle intent around him became even more intense. You should cultivate for a few more years. You're looking for a beating. Chen Hao said arrogantly. As he spoke, his body moved without wind, and his black hair danced in the wind. A wave of earth-shattering pressure suddenly pressed down on Pan Long. Pan Long wanted to say something, but he forcibly shut his mouth. Spiritual pressure. The power from the soul. At this moment, Pan Long finally remembered that Chen Hao had been fighting with his physical strength from the beginning until now. He did not even use a trace of his soul power. Since it's yours, I won't hold back. However, I can give you a good fortune. Whether you dare to go and obtain it or not depends on you. As he spoke, 2 milky white balls of light flew out from between Chen Hao's eyebrows and floated in front of Pan Long. What do you mean? Pan Long did not understand. If you succeed, return them to me. If you fail, you'll die. Consider it my bad luck. Why don't you dare to accept it? Chen Hao said with a raised eyebrow. Why wouldn't I dare? Pan Long's mind sensed the 2 milky white balls of information that did not contain any destructive power. Pan Long directly absorbed the milky white balls of light into between his eyebrows. Then he looked at Chen Hao in shock. Don't force open the second door. It's just a token. Perhaps it'll be useful. Chen Hao finished speaking and tied Pan Long's bag to his own bag. Then he raised his golden spear and slowly walked out without saying anything else. Rumble. Many thanks. Pan Long's body shot up into the sky like a cannonball. When his voice was heard, he was already hundreds of feet away. The onlookers stared blankly. They did not understand what Chen Hao had transmitted to Pan Long. They also did not understand why Pan Long, a battle maniac, would leave. He had not lost yet. The reason was that apart from Pan Long, no one else had felt Chen Hao's terrifying spiritual pressure. Chen Hao had only directed it at Pan Long. Of course, this was not the reason why Pan Long did not want to fight. What really made Pan Long leave was the two memories that Chen Hao had transmitted to him. One of them was the information that Chen Hao had given him, and the other was the divine will transmitted to him by the old man who had an extremely strong physical body. In the unseen world, karma and fate intertwined. Although Chen Hao did not receive the inheritance from the old man, he still received great benefits. When he found Pan Long, Chen Hao's sharp soul perception knew that this guy was very suitable for the inheritance. Since he had found Pan Long, it was only right that he guide the old man to him. After all, the divine will phantom had said that he did not have much energy. Wherever Chen Hao passed, the gossiping crowd shut their mouths. Their eyes were filled with shock and admiration for the strong, and they all made way. Faced with the gazes of countless people, Chen Hao was calm and collected. The female disciple who had previously said that she would give Chen Hao an ancient supreme-grade spirit treasure smiled awkwardly when she saw Chen Hao looking at her. "Here you go." Chen Hao also smiled and nodded. He directly took out an ancient holy sword and handed it to the female disciple. "Thank you, but I can't accept it. I only sympathize with that old man. Besides, I didn't help you at all. Why are you like this?" The girl refused. However, Chen Hao did not listen at all. He directly stuffed the sword into her hands and turned to leave. "Just think of it as the old man repaying your kindness. Kindness will be rewarded with kindness," Chen Hao said without turning his head. "I should have said something. If I had known, I might have also said something. Maybe I could have gotten an ancient holy weapon." "It's an ancient holy weapon, and he gave it away just like that?" "This female disciple is quite pretty. Could Chen Hao have taken a fancy to her? How is that possible?" It said that Chen Hao's partners are all devastatingly beautiful, and they are all disciples of the divine temple. Each one is more powerful than the other. Back then, a powerful person like Moling Takshu was killed by one of his partners. It's just repaying his kindness. Otherwise, he wouldn't have not even asked for her name. "Ancient holy weapon. Leader, we might..." Chen Hao, who was slowly walking forward, suddenly turned around. His sharp eyes were like two sharp swords that shot directly at the cultivator who had bad intentions. Plop. Without any suspense, the cultivator who had been whispering just now felt his knees go soft. Unable to withstand the terrifying pressure, he fell to the ground. Other than her, no matter who is holding this sword, Chen Hao will kill them. Chen Hao said coldly. Just one sentence was enough to make all the cultivators fall silent. Some of the cultivators who had some thoughts about it immediately erased those thoughts. Originally, they wanted to get this holy weapon from this female disciple, but they did not dare to snatch it openly. They could only use underhanded methods to get it in their hands. However, Chen Hao's words clearly told them that he ignored any rules. Even if you picked up this sword and used it, you would still be killed. If other people said this, not many would believe it. However, Chen Hao was different. He was a lunatic. There was nothing he did not dare to do. This was everyone's understanding of Chen Hao. So domineering. The female disciple looked at Chen Hao's cold expression and thought to herself. Chapter 740. The female disciple had rejected Chen Hao's primordial holy weapon for two reasons. First, she was just saying it. Although it was not a lie, it had not been realized yet. How could she accept it? Secondly, accepting Chen Hao's primordial sacred artifact in front of so many people was an absolutely unbearable test for her strength. It was just like how she had only promised to give the old man primordial supreme-grade spiritual treasures when she got out, but now she might lose her life because of it. But now, with the primordial holy weapon in her hands and Chen Hao's arrogant declaration, she could no longer summon the courage to refuse such a huge temptation. "Brother, keep the pill for yourself. Your surname is Mo. May I know your name?" Chen Hao once again walked in front of the youth with the surname Mo and asked him. The young man coughed awkwardly. I'm Mo Wu, a direct disciple of the Ink Sword sect on the Asian Ing planet. I didn't expect you to be Chen Hao. If you need anything in the future, you can look for me, Chen Hao said. His gaze seemed casual, but his mind was carefully sizing up Mo Wu. Then, without another word, he picked up his bag and walked toward the palace. He's leaving just like that? That's right. Chen Hao gave that female disciple an ancient era's sacred artifact sword just because she said so. That brat also gave her a pill. Although it can't compare to the ancient era's supreme-grade spiritual treasure that female disciple promised, he should at least give her something. What do you know? Didn't you hear Chen Hao ask for the young man's name and promise to look for him in the future? That's much better than giving something. That's right. Although he gave the primordial holy weapon to that female disciple, he didn't even ask for her name. Clearly he's drawing a line. But he wants to make friends with this young man. Chen Hao ignored the discussions of the crowd and went straight to the core palace that had already been opened. It was currently empty, and there was no pressure at all. Clearly, the treasures and legacies had all been taken by Pan Long. Chen Hao had only come here to find a secluded place to meditate and wait for the opening of the 7th Forbidden Zone. Chen Hao's lips curled into a smile as he slowly sat down cross-legged and began meditating. The disciples of the Black Sword sect on the Ya-Ing planet should have something to do with Xiaoma's background. By the time I stepped out of the primitive mystic realm, my little brother, sister, and Xiaoma should have already entered the Ya-Ing planet, right? When Chen Hao saw Mo Wu, he felt that Mo Wu's aura was similar to that of his first little brother, Mo Yui. The two also looked similar. That was why he had spoken to Mo Wu. However, Chen Hao didn't seek further confirmation for the time being. His intuition told him that Mo Yui's origins definitely concealed some sort of secret. If it's really related to the direct line of descent of the Black Sword sect, then why would he be stranded on a barren planet like Limitless Star, and even in the mortal world? Whether it was good or bad, he could only wait until he saw Mo Yui again to find a way to verify it. Half a month later, the 7th Forbidden Zone finally opened. The palace disappeared, and Chen Hao, who had been meditating, opened his bright eyes. He picked up 2 huge bags and disappeared into the wilderness. A month later, Chen Hao was the first to step into a forbidden city in the 7th Forbidden Zone. He occupied the core palace. After that, countless cultivators poured into the city. Many foreign race cultivators also arrived in the city one after another. However, because the number of foreign race cultivators was far less than the number of human cultivators, as soon as they entered and saw the situation, they all covered their heads and fled like rats. Even so, they were chased down by human experts and suffered many casualties. At the same time, when they discovered that Chen Hao had occupied the core palace, no one dared to provoke him. However, a few days later, a celestial immortal cultivator arrived and broke the silence. But the result was, the celestial immortal cultivator failed to steal the treasure and was killed by Chen Hao instead. Chen Hao's reputation rose again. 3 months later, Chen Hao had completely comprehended the 7th Forbidden Zone and entered the core palace. At this time, the news about Chen Hao had spread in the nearby cities. However, after learning that Chen Hao had defeated a powerful disciple of the Manhuang tribe and killed a celestial immortal cultivator and his followers, no one came to provoke him. It seemed that they were all shocked by Chen Hao's terrifying combat power and his reckless hunting. Chen Shui and the others in the other cities also easily obtained news of Chen Hao from the discussions of the cultivators. While they were all relieved, they were also surprised by Chen Hao's battle prowess. When they parted, Chen Hao had left because he couldn't compete with a celestial immortal cultivator. But now, he was so high profile and didn't hide himself. He even had the ability to kill a celestial immortal cultivator. This was the 7th Forbidden Zone. As one's comprehension of the 9 Forbidden Zone increased, the laws of the divine ability would become more and more complete, and the advantage of physical strength would become smaller and smaller. But Chen Hao could kill a celestial immortal. At the same time, a large-scale galactic war broke out in the cities of the 7th Forbidden Zone. Countless cultivators died. Everyone knew that as they drew closer and closer to the core area, large-scale battles between the outsider races would definitely erupt. This also made the cultivators of the major galaxies form larger and larger teams. 1,000 people was the smallest scale. Teams of 10,000 people could be seen everywhere. However, under the 9 Forbidden Zone, the tokens of the cultivators of the major galaxies were all ineffective. They couldn't use the tokens to give orders and form a truly unified army. The 7th Forbidden Zone only took half a year to obtain all the core palaces in all the cities. The reason it was so fast was that the number of cities was rapidly decreasing. Those who could obtain the core palaces were basically super geniuses. There were almost no people who could compete for the rights to the core palaces. Secondly, as the cultivators broke through the 9 Forbidden Zone layer by layer, their control became more and more comprehensive, and their experience became richer and richer. The speed of their comprehension also became faster and faster. During the 8th and 9th Forbidden Zone, the war between the 10 major galaxies became even more intense and terrifying. Apart from the absolute recluses of the major galaxies, no one dared to travel alone. They all formed huge teams. The few cities that were available led to the competition for the core palaces, which almost evolved into a galactic war. In the clash between Earth immortals, the vast universe galaxy, which had always been at the bottom, was actually not inferior to any of the other galaxies. This was because the top human cultivators, and because Chen Hao had produced dozens of celestial immortals. This time, Chen Hao was still alone. He didn't join any teams, but he still managed to obtain one of the core palaces of the 8th and 9th Forbidden Zone. He also received the title of God of Slaughter. Countless alien tribe geniuses had fallen at his hands. Whenever the alien tribe was involved in a battle, he would kill his way through. Blood would stain his long spear, and he would drink the blood of countless alien tribes. After driving the alien tribe teams out of the city, Chen Hao occupied the core palaces. No matter how many teams there were, the human race didn't dare to compete with him alone. Especially after seeing how Chen Hao took the head of the leader of the alien tribe team as if there was no one there, they didn't dare to do so. Of course, apart from that, most people were still in awe of Chen Hao. He was a god of slaughter, but he was also the hero of the vast universe galaxy. Without Chen Hao, who knew how many human cultivators would have fallen in the war between the alien tribes? Similarly, the dozens of celestial immortals of the human race also performed amazingly, and they had countless followers. Apart from the dozens of celestial immortals, the most dazzling team was the one formed by Chen Shui, Long Ting, the sisters, and the others. The 4 women's amazing combat power won them countless followers. The 8th hex only took half a year. At this moment, Chen Hao had killed all the alien tribes in the city he was in. After Chen Hao had killed all the alien tribes, he entered the core palaces. He's too strong. Chen Hao killed 10 leaders of the alien tribe teams by himself. He must have killed thousands of alien tribe members as well, right? Just his contribution points alone must be a shocking number. If only I could have 1,000th of his contribution points. Stop dreaming. Chen Hao is definitely the #1 expert of the human race now. No, he should be the #1 expert of the 10 major galaxies who entered the primitive secret realm. 1 man and 1 spear, no matter how many alien tribes there were, he was invincible. Who can compare to him? Let alone 1,000th of his contribution points, even 1,000th of his contribution points would be enough. He. At this moment, a powerful cultivator smiled and said, "His days of being arrogant are coming to an end." What do you mean? Do you think there's anyone who can fight Chen Hao? Are you talking about Hu Meinyang? Of course not now. But once the 9th hex is broken, any one of the 47 heavenly celestial stage elites would be able to defeat Chen Hao, let alone Hu Meinyang. Moreover what? When the others heard the cultivator's words, they thought for a while and asked, "It won't take long for me to kill him. I believe that once I step out of the 9 restrictions and enter the core palaces, I will be able to trigger the heavenly punishment and become a heavenly celestial." Without the restraint of the 9 seals of immortal sealing, what was Chen Hao? He's just a cultivator in the middle stage of the Earth celestial stage. No matter how strong his body is, he can't cross the gap between an earth celestial and a heavenly celestial. Don't look at me like that. I'm just telling the truth. Didn't you notice that after Chen Hao entered the core palaces, many heavenly celestial stage elites appeared? Maybe Hu Meinyang is among them. Indeed. This Chen Hao is really crazy. He knows there are a lot of enemies, but he still dares to enter the core palaces. There's no need to wait until he enters the core palaces. As long as those heavenly celestial stage elites fully comprehend the ninth hex, they will definitely be able to kill him. That seems to be the case. However, do you think Chen Hao is an idiot? He was able to comprehend the ninth hex so early and enter the core palaces. How strong is his power of comprehension? Even Hu Meinyang with the Khanate Taoist foundation has not entered the core palaces. Of course, if she was in this city, she would not have comprehended the ninth hex. Otherwise, she would have attacked. If she was in another city, I wonder, would such a person be so stupid as to wait to be killed? Chapter 741. This isn't a matter of stupidity. He's probably doing this because he feels that he has no hope of escaping. At the very least, even if he dies, he'll die with a bang. I don't think he has anything to rely on. Countless cultivators discussed in shock after they saw Chen Hao fully comprehend the ninth hex and step into the core palace. In the eyes of the vast majority of cultivators, this was completely illogical. Everyone knew that there were countless experts eyeing Chen Hao now, and there were even more who coveted the Tao manifestation fruit. As far as they were concerned, Chen Hao's best method was to rely on his formidable concealment ability to change his appearance and stay away from trouble. Only in this way would he be able to preserve his life. However, Chen Hao was already so high profile on the last level. Du Jing, who changed his appearance, had no need for discussion in the crowd, and his expression was solemn. No one knew that he, who was similarly renowned for his terrifying poison arts and made the Xeno race flee at the mere sight of him, had long since become Chen Hao's servant. Can he really fight a heavenly immortal? If he dies, I'll be annihilated as well. There's no choice. Even if he's going against the entire world, I have to participate in this battle. Perhaps he can create a miracle? Du Jing thought in his heart. When he became Chen Hao's servant, his fate was already tied together with Chen Hao's. In less than 2 years, he'd been completely awed by Chen Hao's terrifying strength. Chen Hao's domineering strength was absolutely not something he could compare to. But now, Chen Hao's high-profile entrance into the core palace made him feel very helpless. This was the last level. Once all the inheritances and treasures in the core palace on this level were obtained, it meant that the 9 restrictions would vanish completely. Not to mention others, even Du Jing himself was confident that he could easily defeat Chen Hao, because he deeply understood how great the gap between an earth immortal and a heavenly immortal was. I hope so. If I die now, I can be like him, my master, and go crazy. In a corner of the city, an imperceptible 9-colored radiance suddenly flashed between the brows of a figure that sat cross-legged. He'd completely comprehended the 9 restrictions. Now, should we make a move? The figure frowned and pondered for a full 2 minutes. Then, she shook her head and said to herself, anyway, it's already in the bag. It can't run away. Let's wait a little longer. Even though I'm no longer under the influence of the 9 immortal sealing restrictions and have regained the strength of a heaven immortal, the pressure of the inheritance in the palace is only for those who have broken through the 9 immortal sealing restrictions. In the end, the figure chose to wait. Similarly, not long after that, countless cultivators that wanted to watch the show surged into the city Chen Hao was in. Of course, there were also heavenly immortal realm experts amongst them that had obtained the news and come over. And yet, despite having complete enlightenment of the 9th hex, no one dared to make a move. This was because everyone knew that once they entered the core palace, they would have to endure the terrifying pressure and mechanisms within the palace. In that case, Chen Hao's freakish body would have an absolute advantage. If things went wrong, he might even be at a disadvantage. Once the palace disappeared, it would be time for them to make their move. Moreover, everyone knew that Chen Hao was now Tang Sanzang's flesh. Needless to say, the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core was something that every cultivator wanted. Whether they could get their hands on it depended on their luck. Even if they could not get their hands on the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core, Qianhao had countless ancient sacred artifacts, pills, secret manuals, and other treasures. There was no doubt that they would benefit greatly if they could get a share of it. This was because the saintess of the Misty Rain House, who Mainyang with the Khanate Taoist embryo, had stepped forward and made a call. She had united many experts and made a promise. Bang, 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 bang. A month and a day later, the calm before the storm was finally broken by heavy footsteps that sounded like they were stepping on everyone's hearts. 4 identical figures appeared in front of the city gate. The 4 of them stood side by side. Their steps were synchronized, and their bodies were emitting an extremely terrifying aura. Every step they took made the city tremble. Their cold and arrogant expressions intimidated the world. The moment they appeared, the densely packed cultivators in the city were in an uproar. After that, the names of the 4 berserk dragons resounded throughout the entire city, and it spread out like a hurricane within the city. The 4 wild dragons were not dead. Not only were they not dead, but they had also stepped into the Heaven Immortal stage. Moreover, they had not stepped into the Heaven Immortal stage for a day or 2. Ever since they were killed by Qianhao, there had been no news of the 4 wild dragons in the area of the 9 seals of immortality. This was not a big deal to the cultivators who thought that the 4 wild dragons were dead. However, Qianhao, who knew that the 4 wild dragons were not dead, felt a little strange. He even suspected that the 4 fellows were too heavily injured. Although they had escaped, they still could not avoid death in the end. He did not expect them to appear at this time. After disappearing for more than 2 years, they appeared again. "Mother, let us go." "No. Although you are already very strong, you are not a match for any heaven immortal after the 9 seals of immortality are lifted." This is not an exaggeration, but a fact. What about how? Why did he do this? At this time, if we don't go, we will never be able to forgive ourselves. "Mother, we must go." "Master, Sister Shui is right. We would rather die than go." The sisters said firmly. "Auntie, you have no right to interfere with me." Long Ting said stubbornly. "Auntie, you have no right to interfere with me and Dong." Fan Dongxing said. "A group of silly children, you know how so well. Don't you trust him all the time? This time, since he chose to do this, he must have something to rely on." Forget it, I can agree to let you go, but all of us must be separated, and we must completely change our appearances. We must not be exposed at any time." Everyone replied in unison. After saying that, Qin Shui left quickly and rushed toward the city not far away. Immediately, Long Ting, the sisters, and the others also left. Even Senior Immortal Yun Wei's eyes were filled with anger. She glared at Senior Immortal Han Mei and turned to leave. Senior Immortal Han Mei sighed helplessly. Obviously, everyone thought that she was a coward who was afraid of death. Why did Tianxi do this? What could he rely on? Nobody knows a son better than his father, but as his father, I don't understand. Senior Immortal Han Mei, who was alone, murmured to herself. He knew Qianhao's character very well. If he did not have something to rely on, he would not do this. However, he could not think of anything that could make Qianhao dare to challenge a group of experts in the Heaven Immortal stage. Senior Immortal Han Mei shook her head and walked toward the city. Chapter 742. Outside another city, a man and a woman were walking hand in hand. They seemed to be walking at a leisurely pace, but every step they took was 1,000 feet long. They were quickly approaching the city. So fast. The cultivators who had just walked out of the city and seemed to be heading somewhere were all attracted by a man and a woman who were walking towards them. They looked so young. How can they be so fast? Could it be the legendary shrinking earth? Their aura is not strong. I think they must have some secret technique to increase their speed. Senior brother, we've finally arrived at the city. Yes, luckily the 9 restrictions are not difficult for us to comprehend. We should be able to see Big Brother soon. Look at how excited you are. Aren't you excited? But if I tell Big Brother what you were thinking, he'll definitely... Don't, junior sister. Isn't it your fault for provoking me? If you dare to say it, I'll kill myself. All right, go ahead. Do it now. Don't worry, I won't stop you. All right, if you want to say it, then say it. Big Brother won't scold me because of our private matters. Come, let's go and ask. These two people were Li Yang and Chen Ling. At this moment, the two of them had already become one with yin and yang. What would it be like when the immortal spiritual bodies of extreme yin and extreme yang merged? Other than the two of them, no one else knew. That was because their auras were very calm and not strong at all. Only his extremely shocking speed, as if he was taking a stroll, was more eye-catching. In the blink of an eye, the two of them arrived in front of the cultivators who had just seen them. Hello, fellow cultivators. May I ask if you have any news about Chen Hao? Li Yang cupped his fists and asked politely. He was like the big boy next door, giving people a very friendly feeling. He even had a scholarly aura around him. If not for the shocking speed that he had just displayed, the cultivators present would have thought that he was a weak bookworm. That was because when he got close to the crowd, Li Yang's aura was even more restrained. It did not have any effect on the crowd at all. Little brother, you're here to watch the show too? Then you've asked the right person? We've received the news that we're heading to the city where Chen Hao is. It said that he's already entered the city's core palace. That's great. Brother, please tell me the direction. Many thanks. It's just one city away from this city. If you rush at full speed, it will take about a month. However, your speed should be very fast. You should be able to arrive in half a month, right? It will definitely be very lively this time. It is said that many heavenly immortal experts have rushed over. That Chen Hao is really too arrogant. Knowing that there are countless enemies, he still dares to enter the core palace. Arrogant? Thanks. Li Yang frowned slightly as he glanced at the cultivator who spoke. After saying that, he pulled Chen Ling, who was clearly on the verge of exploding, and suddenly disappeared before everyone's eyes without a sound. It can't be? The cultivators present widened their eyes. How could he disappear into thin air? Did you sense his aura? I didn't sense anything at all. Me too. This concealment technique, and their speed, is too terrifying. A heavenly immortal expert. It must be. I know. They're probably looking for Chen Hao for the Dao manifestation fruit and countless treasures. You have to know that Chen Hao killed countless experts of the foreign races and obtained countless divine equipment treasures. It is said that in the end, his bag was like a small mountain. Moreover, he even gave away his mediocre primordial spirit treasure to other human cultivators for free. It must be so. Let's go, let's hurry over. Just now, a cultivator sent news that not only did the 4 wild dragons not die, they even stepped into the heavenly immortal realm. When the time comes, it will definitely be an earth-shattering battle. Junior sister, you can't get angry so easily. They're just expressing their opinions from their own point of view. It's not wrong to say that Big Brother is arrogant. He's just a frog in a well looking at the sky. Don't tell me you want to shut everyone's mouths? Besides, they're right. Big Brother is indeed arrogant. Killing God. In these 2 years, whether it's the human race or the foreign race, who doesn't revere Big Brother when they hear his name? If I didn't know that they didn't mean it, senior brother, would you be able to stop me? Yes, junior sister, you're the best. Of course. Senior brother, this time, Big Brother knew that the 9 restrictions would disappear, but he had to face so many heavenly immortal enemies and even entered the core palace. Do you think Big Brother's strength has reached an even more terrifying level? I don't know. According to common sense, it's not very likely. But Big Brother can't be predicted with common sense. Big Brother's experience is the best proof. Li Yang said seriously. This was the judgment he made after obtaining Chen Hao's memories from his junior sister. Although Chen Hao had only interacted with the two of them for a short period of time, it could be said that Chen Ling and Li Yang understood Chen Hao better than Chen Shui and the others. This was because not only had Chen Ling exchanged memories with Chen Hao, she had even secretly looked at Chen Hao's privacy. Yes, I just don't know who obtained that senior's inheritance. Unfortunately, we were at a critical juncture of our cultivation and couldn't split ourselves. That's indeed a problem. At that time, the fluctuation covered tens of thousands of miles. We sensed it even when we were in the cave abode. Moreover, it triggered a terrifying heavenly punishment. If this person wants to go against Big Brother, it'll be a little troublesome. Before the Daluo Golden Wonderland, we were at the same level as him, but I don't think we were a match for him. Yes, senior brother, let's hurry up. It'll be bad if Big Brother is in danger. Yes. The two of them suddenly sped up again and flew into the distance. Chen Hao's experience and the fact that Chen Hao had given up the extreme path inheritance to save their lives had made them treat Chen Hao as their big brother. Moreover, he was their only family in the world. Whoever wanted to touch Chen Hao would have to step over their dead bodies. It was that simple. They did not know how powerful the other heavenly immortals were, but the cultivator who obtained that senior's extreme path inheritance was definitely terrifying. This was because their master had left behind a letter saying that before the Daluo Golden Wonderland, the cultivator who specialized in cultivating the physical body was superior to them, who specialized in cultivating the spirit altar. After the Daluo Jingxian, the cultivator who specialized in cultivating the spirit altar was on par with him. Fuck his mother. Heavenly immortals are nothing. Whoever dares to touch my senior brother will die. Boom. In a city, a tall and mighty young man filled with endless wild aura, who was like an ancient ferocious beast, after hearing the discussions of the surrounding cultivators, inexplicably erupted with a furious roar. He directly stomped on the ground and violently charged out of the city. Coiling Dragon. That's Coiling Dragon, who has been silent for more than a year. After the battle with Chen Hao, he mysteriously admitted defeat and left, and there was no news of him. Now, he's actually appeared. That aura is too terrifying. His senior brother? Could it be Chen Hao? How could Chen Hao be his senior brother? If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 743. Hiss hiss hiss. Within the core palace, immortal light coiled about while talisman markings fluttered about. Chen Hao sat cross-legged under boundless pressure, and he was like an old monk in meditation. The space between his brows was like a blood-red amber that was sparkling and translucent, and dense killing intent wasn't intentionally released at all. It seemed material as it enveloped the entire palace just as he cultivated. Murderous aura crystallized. Murderous intent turned into reality. In these 2 years, Chen Hao had lost count of how many cultivators of the foreign races he had killed. Along the way, he had stepped on countless bones. If there weren't tens of thousands of them, there were at least thousands. As a result, the murderous aura on his body had become more and more intense. It had also caused his Slaughter Sword Dao to surpass the Immortal Sword Dao and Destruction Sword Dao that he was most proficient in. Not only had his sword's soul formed, it had also grown to perfection. He also obtained countless treasures. In the end, he had to give away middle-grade and upper-grade treasures if they were slightly bigger, but after every killing spree, the murderous aura in Chen Hao's heart would not dissipate. That feeling was like the addiction of a smoker. He was addicted to killing. Chen Hao was very clear that this situation was not good for him. If he could not get rid of the murderous aura on his body, it could affect his spiritual altar if it continued to accumulate. It was also at that time that Chen Hao started to cultivate the soul healing technique that Qin Ling had taught him. Previously, he had planned to study the 2 ultimate unique skills after the Coiling Dragon came to fruition before he started cultivating them. But because of the influence of the murderous aura on his body, he had to start cultivating his soul healing technique earlier. Qin Ling's so-called soul healing technique was only the final and highest step. In reality, it was a complete set of soul cultivation techniques that contained various miraculous uses. For example, Qin Ling could secretly investigate Chen Hao's private matters, Li Yang could appear and disappear silently, and even Chen Hao couldn't sense his presence at all, and so on. These were all techniques that used soul healing techniques. As Chen Hao cultivated, the murderous aura on his spiritual altar was purified, and the murderous aura around him disappeared as well. However, whether it was the spiritual altar or the murderous aura that had entered every cell of his body, it did not completely disappear. Instead, it gathered in his soul palace and merged with the slaughter sword spirit. Once Chen Hao activated his slaughter sword Dao, his entire being would be filled with killing intent. The more he killed, the more exhilarated he felt. This situation still made Chen Hao worried. It was because he could feel that once the battle started, he would not be able to control his mind completely. The slaughter sword spirit would subconsciously affect his state of mind. He didn't realize it at the time, but he felt like he was dreaming afterward. This was an inner demon of slaughter. If he was allowed to continue developing, then Chen Hao would definitely become a true god of slaughter. This was not what Chen Hao wanted. However, there was nothing he could do at the moment. The only thing he could do was to condense the slaughter sword spirit even more and gain absolute control over it. This way, the murderous aura would not be released at all and would not affect his state of mind. No one knew that Chen Hao, who was immersed in the core palace, was only cultivating under the huge pressure in the hall. He did not even go deep into the core palace to get the inheritance treasures and techniques. Beside him, there was a pile of bundles that were tied together like a small mountain. Suddenly, waves of energy rippled out from the door of the core palace. Can't hold it in anymore? Chen Hao, who was immersed in cultivation, was suddenly awakened as he opened his eyes. Come! Hiss! The murderous aura that filled the entire palace seemed to have materialized as Chen Hao opened his eyes and shouted. It merged into the blood-colored sword spirit on his forehead. When the sword spirit merged into the soul palace, the entire place was devoid of murderous aura. At this moment, Chen Hao's handsome face became as heavy as water. My spirit is clear, and the murderous aura is gone. However, I can't really kill it. It's still a hidden danger. The more I kill, the more it will affect me in the future. Thus, I destroy the slaughter sword spirit. Chen Hao frowned. But this is my cultivation. If I destroy it, the power of my slaughter sword will be greatly reduced. My combat power will also be greatly affected. He had already fully comprehended the 9 immortal sealing hexes, but if he wanted to restore the complete laws of his divine abilities, he would have to obtain all of the core palace's legacies and treasures. Only then would the 9 immortal sealing hexes be broken, and all cultivators would no longer be affected by the 9 immortal sealing hexes. Let's talk about it after I've solved the problem in front of me. After a short moment of hesitation, Chen Hao gave up on the idea of destroying the slaughter sword spirit. This was because he knew his current situation very well. The moment he stepped into the core palace, he knew what he was going to face. It's been more than a month. Everyone who should be here, right? There should be quite a few cultivators who have comprehended the 9 celestial sealing spells. Finally, someone dares to open the core palace. Chen Hao's face showed the pride of a young man. With the strength of a single person, who could intimidate the world under the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. Rumble. As the 9-colored light grew brighter and brighter, the heavy doors opened with a rumble. Chen Hao, come out if you have the guts. A furious roar, like a clap of thunder, was transmitted into the palace the instant the palace gates opened. All the cultivators in the city were in an uproar at this moment. The 4 wild dragons have finally comprehended the 9 celestial sealing spells, as expected of the 4 wild dragons. The 4 wild dragons must have gone into hiding after being severely injured. I didn't expect them to have already become heavenly immortals when they returned. They even dared to open the core palace and challenge the slaughter god Chen Hao. That's right. Hu Mainyang and the other heavenly immortals must have already comprehended the 9 celestial sealing spells. They must be in this city, but none of them dared to challenge him at this time. The 4 wild dragons are really fierce. Forget it. If they're fierce enough, why don't they just charge in? What's the point of shouting? Chen Hao is only at the intermediate earthly immortal stage. They're all heavenly immortals, but they don't dare to enter the core palace. What's so fierce about that? Besides, Chen Hao almost killed all 4 of them. They've lost all face. Now they're just opening the door to challenge him. They're just trying to save some face. Ah? Chen Hao. He didn't enter the palace? When the doors opened completely and countless cultivators gathered around, they saw Chen Hao sitting cross-legged facing the doors of the palace. Celestial light swirled and runes flashed. Chen Hao was in the middle of it all. Anyone was able to discern that Chen Hao would definitely have to endure the terrifying pressure from the 9th level of the core palace. Yet now, Chen Hao's handsome face was calm like water, and he didn't seem to be in the slightest pain from enduring the pressure. Come out if you have the guts. Wan Long, the leader of the 4 wild dragons, shouted angrily again. He looked at Chen Hao with eyes full of hatred and anger. Chapter 744. Countless gazes gathered on Chen Hao, who was sitting cross-legged inside the door. Chen Hao, who originally had a calm expression, curled his lips into a cold smile. His pitch-black and deep eyes shone with a soul-stirring light at the same time as he looked straight at the leader of the 4 berserk dragons. At the same time, he slowly stood up, whoosh. The temporarily silent crowd was immediately stirred up by Chen Hao's insignificant action. Is he going to come out? Countless people's hearts were in turmoil. Everyone knew that Chen Hao's greatest advantage at this moment was that he was in the palace. Only in this way could he contend against the experts who had comprehended the 9 seals of immortal sealing and had stepped into the heaven immortal realm. After all, although the 9 seals of immortal sealing had not been broken, the state of every cultivator's true essence and mind power had been raised to their peak state. The only thing that was suppressed was the operation of the divine power law. It could be said that he already had the absolute advantage of the heaven immortal realm. If Chen Hao came out, what would it be other than courting death? In the palace, because he had to endure the terrifying inheritance pressure, he could still rely on his powerful body and soul to occupy the advantage. Coming out was absolutely impossible. Bang! Chen Hao slowly took a step forward. His movements were very light, and he did not activate any energy. However, the light footsteps seemed to contain a kind of magic, causing everyone's hearts to instantly become heavy, and they all held their breaths. As for the 4 wild dragons, they took half a step back slightly. At the same time, the aura around them instantly soared. Deterrence. This was not pressure, but an invisible power. Spiritual power was invisible and formless, but it really existed. Just like the saying, a person's name is like a tree's shadow, the god of slaughter Chen Hao's reputation had already gained a place in everyone's hearts. No one dared to underestimate him. Suddenly, someone in the crowd shouted, "Brother Chen, don't be rash. They have guts, let them in." Immediately, "Yes, Brother Chen, they are provoking you, don't be fooled. Brother Chen, there are still many experts who want to harm you, don't be rash. For wild dragons, if you have the guts, charge in. You have the nerve to rely on the fact that you have stepped into the heaven immortal realm? You're courting death." When the 4 wild dragons heard these clamors, they suddenly roared furiously, and an endless amount of pressure was released. Brother Chen is the hero of our human race. Without him, many of our fellow humans would have perished here. Who do you think you 4 mad dragons are? Why didn't you act so arrogantly when you were fighting against the non-human kind? At such a time, he actually came to snatch Brother Chen's magic treasure? Kill me if you have the guts. My life was saved by Brother Chen. Whoever dares to touch Brother Chen will have to kill me first. And those so-called geniuses of yours, I feel ashamed for you. Other than bullying your fellow countrymen, what have you done? The god of slaughter, Chen Hao, ignored the rules and was not afraid of anyone's background. As long as someone dared to provoke him to snatch the treasure, no matter who it was, he would kill them with a single blow. But all these years, have we ever heard of him taking the initiative to kill any of his compatriots? But for some people, any good treasure belongs to them. Yes or no, it doesn't matter. We don't have any background, so we just snatch it from them. Those with a bit of background would resort to all sorts of schemes and machinations. They would resort to any means possible. What were they? On what basis? The first cultivator to speak said sternly. His voice reverberated through heaven and earth. carrying with it the will to die without hesitation. If you don't want to die, shut up. You can control my mouth, but can you control the mouths of everyone in the world? Kill me if you have the guts. The 9 seals of immortal sealing will be broken soon, and we will enter the core area. The real enemy is the non-human kind. And for some people, look at yourselves. If you have the guts, why don't you go and snatch the treasures of the non-human kind cultivators? Brothers and sisters of the human race, if you still have a conscience, then stand out. We are not experts, and we don't have any powerful background, but we know who saved our lives. So what if they are experts? They are nothing but trash who bullies their own nest. Let's fight. Death is the only outcome. My life was saved by Brother Chen in the first place. Boom. My life to fight. Fight. In an instant, more and more people responded. In a breath's time, there were more than 1,000 people. Although there were no true experts, the angry roars pierced the sky and shook the surroundings. What was even more shocking was that a will that was like a torrent of steel rushed straight into the sky. What did this mean? It was definitely not something that could be gathered by 1,000 people. As long as one glanced at the dense crowd, one would find that the expressions of the cultivators, who were many times more than 1,000 people, had become excited. Although they seemed to be hesitating, the expressions on their faces were obviously leaning towards Qianhao. This scene made the 4 wild dragons vomit blood in anger. They wanted nothing more than to start a massacre. It also made the heavenly immortal experts who were hiding nearby, including Hu Mainyang, gnash their teeth in anger. Who would have thought that at this time, someone would dare to stand up for Qianhao? Who would have thought that Qianhao's prestige among the human cultivators was actually so high? No one would have thought. Even Qianhao was a little dumbfounded. To be honest, he had never thought of being a hero. A hero, in his mind, was a kind of idiot who sacrificed himself for the sake of everyone. To be honest, Qianhao really didn't think that he had such a high consciousness. But at this moment, he had actually become the hero in everyone's mouth. Blushing with shame, he had indeed not killed any innocent human, and he had indeed saved countless human cultivators. But that kind of saving was completely because he had killed many foreign races. At most, at that time, when he passed by the crowd and saw that the human cultivators were in danger, he would first kill the foreign race who was fighting with them. It was completely something that could be done easily. He hunted the foreign races crazily and killed their experts in order to obtain the human race's contribution points, the treasures in the hands of the foreign races, and to train himself. Whoever dares to touch Brother Chen, Du Jing, will not let go. Boom. At this moment, a faint voice sounded, accompanied by a majestic and terrifying pressure. Flowing light flowed around Du Jing wantonly, and sparks flickered. He stared coldly at the 4 wild dragons and walked step by step toward the palace gate. Whoosh! The appearance of such a heavyweight expert to support Qianhao was like a shot in the arm. It allowed the cultivators who were still wavering to integrate into Qianhao's support army, and their momentum became stronger. Not only was Du Jing's combat strength extremely high, his poison skills were superb, and it was impossible to guard against him. In these 2 years, he was also famous for his fighting prowess. Originally, Du Jing was one of the people who wanted to deal with Qianhao in a very high-profile manner. Many cultivators knew that Du Jing was one of the cultivators who had inquired about Qianhao. No matter what, no one expected Du Jing to stand out and support Qianhao at this time. Talent. Seeing Du Jing's appearance, Qianhao immediately understood what was going on. Just now, his sharp senses locked onto the cultivator who spoke first through the dense crowd. At the same time, he also sensed Du Jing's presence. Wasn't he beside that cultivator? It was just that he was not sure at that time. Now, Du Jing's body was surrounded by poisonous insects, and he made a shocking appearance. In an instant he won the respect and admiration of countless cultivators. Qianhao could be sure who the initiator was. Chapter 745. Du Jing, other people might be afraid of you, but do you think we, the 4 mad dragons, are afraid of you? You are seeking death. Wan Long looked at Du Jing, who was approaching him step by step. His face became extremely gloomy and angry. There was no doubt that Du Jing was openly provoking them. Die. Whether you have the ability to kill me is a problem. Even if you do, I, Du Jing, can drag one or two of you down with me. If one or two of the 4 mad dragons die, you are nothing. Moreover, do you dare to kill me? Do you think I am like Chen Hao, who has no background? Humph. Du Jing said disdainfully. He did not stop walking, and his words were merciless. I, Du Jing, am not a good person, but I know what righteousness is. We are about to confront the mysterious tribe, but you want to kill a human hero for a Tao manifestation's celestial fruit core. Are you still human? When I say you, I am not only referring to the 4 mad dragons. You are just simple-minded idiots who stand out to be cannon fodder. Young Master Du Jing, who is the one who wanted to deal with Chen Hao? Don't talk about righteousness, we just want to kill a lunatic. This kind of devil who ignores the rules and kills the top genius disciples of the divine palace, everyone has the right to kill him. Wan Teng said angrily. You are seeking death. We, the 4 mad dragons, are not for you to tell us what to do. Who do you think you are? Wan Long was burning with anger. If Wan Teng did not hold him back, he would have attacked directly. Boom. In the crowd, an aura suddenly bloomed. What a joke. Du Jing, are you talking about us? You think you are invincible just because you brought out a few holy-level poisonous insects? What a bullshit hero, those guys just now were your subordinates, right? They just killed a little more than the mysterious tribe. When it comes to a real fight, he is not qualified to be compared with us. He is just a piece of trash at the medium stage of the Earth celestial stage. Once the celestial ceiling 9 restrictions breaks through, any heaven celestial can kill him. Boom. Boom. So what if I want the Tao manifestation celestial fruit core? So what if I step on your dead bodies? How dare you block my way? I will kill you with my sword. Don't even think about the Tao manifestation celestial fruit core, that is what Miss Hu wants. As for the rest of the treasures, they could just split it amongst themselves. Of course, if you are confident that you can defeat Miss Hu, then I, by Wuxi, have nothing to say. That's right. I Shi Zhongtian think so too. Jianchen, could it be that you think you can defeat Miss Hu? For berserk dragons, are you not convinced? Powerful auras appeared from all directions, and each aura represented a master in the celestial realm. Even if the people present did not know all of them, there were still many who knew them, especially the disciples of the Sage Hall. The majestic and terrifying pressure immediately engulfed the entire city. The cultivators who wanted to fight for Chen Hao a moment ago felt as though a bucket of cold water had been poured over them under the absolute pressure of these experts. They no longer dared to make a sound. Amidst the crowd, a figure moved gracefully, her fragrance lingering in the air, instantly attracting the gazes of everyone. A graceful and exquisite figure, a charming face that could topple nations, and a myriad of amorous feelings blossomed from her bright eyes. Delicate yet not seductive, nothing more beautiful could be imagined. The Tao manifestation celestial fruit core does not belong to Chen Hao. Back then, Main Yang, Moling Takshu, and Bai Yen were only upholding justice for the Sage Hall disciple, Lan Feng. Who would have thought that Chen Hao would actually kill Moling Takshu and Bai Yen, 2 top geniuses of the human race, and even humiliate Main Yang? Do you think such a person is a hero of the human race? A charming yet ethereal voice resounded in the crowd. Her voice was not loud, but it clearly entered the ears of everyone. Countless people did not seem to pay attention to what Hu Meinyang was saying, but they felt that what she said was right, it was the truth. Peerless elegance, the sound of nature. The faint fragrance of her body even suffused the tip of their noses. Her aura was vast and mighty like the spring breeze. It was not oppressive, but it was like a female emperor descending to the world, causing countless cultivators to have the impulse to submit and worship her. Hu Meinyang. So beautiful, so powerful. Is this the current Misty Rain Pavilion's holy maiden? She really lives up to her reputation. Knowing someone by their reputation is not as good as meeting them in person. To be able to see such a peerless woman in this life, my life has not been in vain. The cultivators with higher cultivations were all secretly praising her in their hearts. Their eyes could no longer move away from Hu Meinyang's body. The minds of those with weaker cultivations were blank. The world lost its color, and only Hu Meinyang's figure floated in front of them. Du Jing, is Meinyang wrong? Hu Meinyang's pair of bright eyes suddenly bloomed with a strange light. She looked at Du Jing and asked with a sweet smile. Du Jing was clearly very clear-headed, but a mysterious force seemed to have penetrated his eyes and fused into the depths of his heart. He wanted to say wrong, but he actually could not bear to disobey Hu Meinyang, this precious creature of the human world. He knew that his life and death were together with Chen Hao, but he still did not want to. Meinyang only wants the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core. The other treasures are up to you. I hope that everyone can fulfill Meinyang's wish. Meinyang thanks you in advance. Hu Meinyang bowed slightly. Amazing, truly amazing. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out from the silent crowd. Chen Hao, who had been quietly watching the development of the situation with a calm expression, finally spoke. His voice was also not loud, but it penetrated everyone's eardrums and fused into everyone's hearts. It was also at this moment that everyone was stunned. They looked at Chen Hao with shame in their hearts. They did not feel that they had been bewitched. They only thought that they were attracted by Hu Meinyang's peerless beauty, and Chen Hao's voice had diverted their attention. Hu Meinyang, I haven't seen you for a few years, and your cultivation has improved. Even your words are like the sound of the great Tao. Is this the highest level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra? Truly amazing. Chen Hao's handsome face also had a smile. His black eyes looked directly at Hu Meinyang. At this moment, everyone could feel that there was a colorless and formless aura between the two of them. Du Jing broke out in cold sweat. Only he knew that Hu Meinyang had deliberately used the Red Dust Heart Sutra on him just now. That gaze was the fuse. If not for Chen Hao's timely words, he would still be in a daze at this moment. He had long known that Hu Meinyang was strong, but Du Jing did not expect that Hu Meinyang, who had stepped into the heavenly celestial stage, would be so strong that she could kill without leaving a trace. He was a first-class genius, and also a heavenly celestial stage. At the same time, he could not help but admire his master, Chen Hao. But now, the situation was not optimistic. In order to survive, he had carefully set up a trap to help Chen Hao, but it was easily broken by the other party. Needless to say, it was impossible to rely on righteousness to suppress him now. Unless Chen Hao did not come out, a battle to the death was inevitable. No matter how strong Chen Hao was, Du Jing did not think that he and Chen Hao could fight against many heavenly celestial stage experts, especially the top experts like Hu Meinyang and the 4 wild dragons. Meinyang does not know if I'm strong or not, but I'm strong enough to kill you. Hu Meinyang said with a smile. Her eyes were fixed on Chen Hao, but there was a flash of shock in the depths of her eyes. Chapter 746. After stepping into the heaven celestial stage, Hu Meinyang's Red Dust Heart Sutra was no longer the same as before. Although it was still suppressed by the 9 seals of immortality, its power was 10 times stronger than when she fought with Chen Hao. Every single move, frown, or smile of hers was capable of causing everyone to be naturally affected, and it was even done unconsciously. She was able to bewilder a top genius like Du Jing with just a little bit of it. But now, she'd utilized her full strength, yet it was actually unable to affect Chen Hao in the slightest under Chen Hao's unrestrained gaze, and she couldn't help but be shocked. Is that so? Looks like you're but doesn't hurt anymore. Chen Hao's lips curled up slightly, and his handsome face was suddenly filled with an evil charm. Crash! Chen Hao's casual words caused an uproar among countless cultivators. It was a blatant provocation and ridicule. At the same time, it was also a blatant arrogance. Hu Meinyang's holy goddess smile suddenly froze and her delicate body trembled. Her bottom line was directly broken by Chen Hao's words. Goddess, the goddess in the hearts of countless people, no man could resist her peerless demeanor. But the man who kicked her but actually exposed her scar in front of countless cultivators. What made her even more unbearable was that Chen Hao's tone and eyes didn't put her in his eyes at all. Holy maiden, even a goddess can get angry? This is your real face, isn't it? With a hint of lust. You're courting death. Boom. Hu Mainyang was already angry and embarrassed, and Chen Hao's words made her even angrier. Her voice was no longer as pleasant to the ears as before. Instead, it was extremely sharp. A majestic and terrifying pressure was released at the same time. With her as the core, the heavens and earth trembled, and the laws of Tao resonated. Even the heaven's celestial stage followers standing beside her were shocked by the sudden burst of aura and stepped back. Come on. See if I don't beat your butt until it's swollen. Pa. Chen Hao laughed wildly. Chen Hao's frivolous expression caused many cultivators to frown. However, the astute ones naturally understood that Chen Hao was merely trying to provoke Hu Mainyang. At the same time, it also showed how powerful Hu Mainyang was. That was indeed the case. A confident and calm opponent was far more terrifying than an opponent who was so angry that he lost his mind. In particular, Chen Hao could feel the terrifying power contained within Hu Mainyang's enchanting body. It could definitely be described as unfathomable. Even if the 4 berserk dragons combined into one, they would still be far inferior. Perhaps this was also the reason why the 4 berserk dragons chose to remain silent after Hu Mainyang and the others appeared. Do you really think that I, Hu Mainyang, wouldn't dare? Miss Hu, this brat is extremely arrogant. I've already said that there's no need to wait for the palace to disappear. We'll just kill our way in. It's just that his physical body is a little stronger. Don't tell me we're afraid of him? Yes, charge in. No one can insult Miss Hu. Clang, clang, clang. Boom, boom, boom. The brainless experts who were obviously subdued by Hu Mainyang were filled with righteous indignation as they activated the energy around their bodies and unsheathed their swords. As soon as Hu Mainyang gave the order, they would charge in without hesitation. Their bodies and minds were bewitched, but they didn't know it. At this moment, Du Jing knew that he was going to charge into the palace in a flash. He wanted to fight side by side with Chen Hao. Chen Hao, who was standing in the middle of the palace hall, couldn't stop him in time. Boom! A terrifying pressure suddenly descended. Immortal light coiled around and talisman scripts flickered as it violently surged towards Du Jing. Although he was mentally prepared, Du Jing's body suddenly bent down as if a huge mountain was pressing down on him, and he stared with his eyes wide open in shock. There was no suspense at all. Du Jing spat out a mouthful of blood. Chen Hao shook his head helplessly. What could he do? Infuriating Hu Mainyang and making her lose her mind and charge in was undoubtedly the best result. They didn't know how strong the pressure in the palace was, but Chen Hao knew very well. However, Du Jing's loyalty and righteousness had exposed how strong the pressure in the core palace of the 9th hex was. How is this possible? Du Jing is doing this on purpose, right? Everyone was shocked. Chen Hao's relaxed appearance was a stark contrast to Du Jing's coughing up blood from the pressure. After all, Du Jing was also a top genius in the heavenly immortal realm. Even if his physical body and soul were not as strong as Chen Hao's, he shouldn't be so weak. But the truth was, no, he's not pretending. His energy and aura can't be faked. The pressure in this palace is indeed much stronger than the 8 hex. Fortunately, we didn't charge in immediately. Otherwise, we would have been caught off guard by Chen Hao. In the crowd, Qin Shui, Long Ting, and the others who were ready to fight hurriedly retracted their auras. Du Jing, go in and cultivate. Just don't enter the core. Let's just wait, Chen Hao said as he looked at Du Jing, who was struggling to support himself. Brother, is there any use in waiting? If we charge out together, we might have a chance of survival. The longer we wait, the more experts will come. Don't worry. As long as they can afford to wait, can't we? As long as this palace isn't broken, the 9 hex won't disappear. I think the experts of the other races won't be able to wait for too long, right? It'll be very lively then. Think about the scene when the entire army of the other races enters the last city. I'm looking forward to it, Chen Hao said with a smile. He didn't suppress his voice at all. Brother Qin is wise. Since it's chaotic, let's make it even more chaotic. Ha! A bunch of trash. If Brother Chen had my background, they wouldn't dare to rob you so openly even if they had 10 guts. What kind of bullshit genius is he? Isn't he still captivated by the secular heart sutra and doesn't know it? Thank you for your help just now, Brother Chen. Otherwise, I would have been bewitched by that witch too. Du Jing's voice was louder as he cupped his fists and bowed to Chen Hao with reverence in his eyes. Du Jing, fucking bullshit. Since when were we bewitched? Miss Hu, it's obviously impossible to take down this kid without sacrificing ourselves. If this drags on, when the other core palaces are broken and we can't step out of the 9 hex seals for a long time, the army of the other races will definitely gather here. So, I think we should charge in together regardless of the cost. No matter how strong his body is, he can only deal with 2 or 3 of us at most. Can he overturn the heavens? One of the stronger cultivators said. Brother Wan, what do you think? After a slight hesitation, Hu Mainyang looked at the gloomy faces of the 4 wild dragons and said with bright eyes. However, the 4 wild dragons didn't even look at Hu Mainyang. It wasn't that they didn't want to look, but they were afraid that they would unknowingly fall into her trap. Just as Du Jing had said, they also felt that this group of so-called geniuses no longer had their own backbone. So many of them actually revolved around a woman and even obeyed her orders. If the 4 wild dragons were to become like that, they might as well die. The Tao manifestation immortal fruit core belongs to us 4 wild dragons. We can charge in first. Does he really think we're afraid of him? We're afraid that you'll be the aureole behind us, Wan Long said arrogantly. Chapter 747. 4 wild dragons? Are you dreaming? Do you think you can fight? Enough. Hu Mainyang interrupted the cultivator who was about to mock the 4 wild dragons. Brother Wan, since you're also aiming for the Tao manifestation immortal fruit, Mainyang has an idea. What idea? It's simple. We'll work together to kill Chen Hao and the Tao manifestation immortal fruit will go to whoever gets it. Mainyang can have a fair fight with all of you. How about that? Then who's going to take the lead? This kid's body and will are extremely strong. Under such terrifying pressure, even the 4 of us won't have an easy time. Just like what Du Jing said, we don't want to be cannon fodder. Don't worry. Since Mainyang said so, there's naturally a way. Of course, it depends on Brother Wan. Depends on us? In the end, you still want us to take the lead? Don't misunderstand. Brother Wan, when the 4 of you combine into one, what I mean is that if you combine into one, you'll be able to defy the heavens and attract the heavenly punishment, right? That's right. We can do it. But that will consume a lot of energy. And when the heavenly punishment descends, the 4 of us will be injured and there won't be any energy in return. Don't even think about this idea. All you need to do is attract the heavenly punishment and leave the rest to us. Also, after killing Chen Hao, I'll give you enough time to recover to your peak state. At that time, we'll decide the winner and who gets the Tao manifestation immortal fruit. How about it? You're very strong. Mainyang has no confidence in winning. But now that things have come to this is the only way. Otherwise, if we delay for too long, it'll be even more difficult for any of us to obtain the Tao manifestation immortal fruit. It's better to end it now. Hu Mainyang hurriedly said when she saw the 4 wild dragons hesitating. Damn it. Chen Hao, who had just angered Hu Mainyang to the point of vomiting blood, was now angered to the point of vomiting blood by this woman's venomous heart and arrogant attitude. It was as if she already controlled his life and death. Why aren't they here yet? Chen Hao thought to himself. Facing an unfathomable woman like Hu Mainyang, the 4 wild dragons, and many heavenly immortal experts, Chen Hao indeed had no confidence in winning or even escaping. He had seen Hu Mainyang's speed before. However, that didn't mean that Chen Hao was really going to stall for time until the non-human army arrived. At that time, not to mention the human race in this city facing a disaster, even he would not be able to escape. He was waiting for Qin Ling and Li Yang to arrive. According to his estimation, Chen Ling and Li Yang should have merged their yin and yang long ago. Taking into account the time they spent comprehending the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing and the time they took to move in different directions, it shouldn't take long for them to arrive. This was what Xianxia was relying on. Otherwise, he would not have entered the core palace in such a high-profile manner. However, the two of them still hadn't arrived yet. Xianxia believed that Li Yang and Chen Ling's current strength were absolutely heaven-defying existences. With the two of them and Du Jing, even if they couldn't defeat the other party, it wouldn't be a problem for them to escape. Moreover, they could at least kill some idiots. Hu Mainyang, will you keep your word? Hu Mainyang promises in her capacity as the Misty Rain House's saintess. All right. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. After the 4 wild dragons responded, their auras instantly soared wildly. The surrounding cultivators instantly retreated and made way for them. Du Jing. Boss? Du Jing's expression was solemn. However, at this point, he knew very well that there was no way out. The only way was to fight to the death. No matter what, he was going to die. Then, before he died, he had to drag at least 2 of them down with him. He was already in the heavenly immortal stage. Once the 4 wild dragons triggered the heavenly punishment, he would be able to recover his true heavenly immortal strength under the cover of the heavenly punishment. He believed that the Poison King Sutra would definitely be able to drag a few of the weaker ones down with him. I'll release you from the slave contract. They're targeting me. With your background, I'm afraid no one will dare to kill you. Boss, you're serious? A milky white light suddenly escaped from between Xianxia's brows. At the same time, a blood-red crystal amber appeared between Xianxia's brows. Boundless killing intent surged out in an instant. Bang! Xianxia opened his 5 fingers, and the golden spear beside him flew into his hand. Then, he took a step forward and charged toward the door like lightning. Du Jing's eyes widened in shock. The white light emitted from between Xianxia's brows had already entered his soul dwelling. He was already a free man. No matter what, he did not expect this. Xianxia, in this moment of life and death, actually dared to break the soul contract with him. Could it be that Xianxia should not order him to fight to the death? However, he actually let him go. Don't act rashly until the last moment. When Qin Shui was about to rush out, venerable immortal Han Mei suddenly pulled her tightly. At the same time, her eyes emitted a terrifying light as she looked at Long Ting, the siblings, and the rest who were looking at Qin Shui. Mother, listen to me. If I'm not wrong, he's most afraid of you appearing. You should know that a heaven immortal is not someone you can fight against. If you go out, it's no doubt hitting a rock with an egg. Taking a step back, even if Hao dies, you must live on and avenge him. Instead of perishing together. Boss. I, Du Jing, am not a coward. Boom. After a short moment of daze, Du Jing's face suddenly flashed with determination. He followed closely behind Xianxia and rushed out of the core palace. If you don't die today, you'll always be my boss. If you die, then we die together. My Poison King Valley will definitely seek justice for me. What a terrifying murderous aura. Good. Hu Mainyang, since we've already forced him out, then let's kill him first. Our agreement still stands. How about that? The 4 wild dragons gave up on going against the heavens to trigger the heavenly punishment and said loudly. But Hu Mainyang agreed readily. Obviously, she and the 4 wild dragons knew that if they fought now, it would instead give Xianxia a chance to escape. Because among those present, only Hu Mainyang and the 4 wild dragons had the confidence to take down Xianxia. Even if the others were heaven immortals, they were still restricted by the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing. And Xianxia's unparalleled power when he hunted down the alien experts was definitely not something they could do. No one dared to underestimate him. 2 by 2, surround him. Hu Mainyang's coquettish voice became extremely cold at this moment as she gave the order. But, brat, accept your death obediently. Swish. Boom. 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 The experts under Hu Mainyang had obviously discussed and trained on how to take down Xianxia at the lowest cost. Following Hu Mainyang's order, 2 by 2 experts stood side by side. A total of 30 Heaven Immortal experts violently activated their energy and blocked the entrance of the core palace, surrounding Chen Hao and Du Jing. Chapter 748. Heavenly Dragon Domain. Boom. At this moment, the 4 wild dragons suddenly roared, and 4 pillars of light shot out from their bodies into the sky. The terrifying energy and pressure were many times stronger than the last time they fought Chen Hao. The only difference was that although the 4 wild dragons used the Heavenly Dragon Domain, they did not directly surround Chen Hao. Instead, the 4 of them stood together, and only when they were close to their opponent would their opponent enter their domain. It would not affect Hu Mainyang and the others. Today, you can't escape. We, the 4 wild dragons, will tear you to pieces for the humiliation last time. You were a rare genius, but you ignored the rules and wantonly killed the top geniuses of the Sacred Hall, and even humiliated me, Hu Mainyang. Today, you will die. Boom, boom, boom. The 4 wild dragons, Hu Mainyang, and more than 30 heavenly immortal experts released an extremely terrifying aura at the same time, pressing down on Chen Hao and Du Jing. Suddenly, a clear and melodious voice that was like the tinkling of spring water and carried a trace of playfulness sounded from the crowd. Senior brother, I told you this is our big brother. Why would our big brother be afraid of this group of rascals? Yes, we haven't seen each other for so long. Big brother's killing aura has crystallized and transformed into a soul, but his spiritual platform is still untainted. I think big brother gave them a way out, but they refused a toast only to drink a forfeit. They thought they had big brother. Their voices were erratic, sometimes from the east, sometimes from the west. What was even more strange was that there was not the slightest bit of aura leaking out. Even Chen Hao's extremely powerful soul perception could not lock onto their figures, and his fiery golden eyes had completely failed. But when he heard the clear and melodious laughter, Chen Hao's eyes, which had turned scarlet and filled with endless killing intent, lit up. Suddenly, Chen Ling said again, "Who is that? Why you still not coming out?" Motherfucker, you 2 little fellows scared me to death. So my senior brother is your big brother? Bang, bang, bang. A wild and deep voice resounded through the clouds. The laughter was like thunder, and the wind and clouds churned. Accompanied by footsteps that were as heavy as mountains, the entire palace complex trembled. At the same time, the aura of an ancient ferocious beast spread out. Your senior brother? That's right, my senior brother is Chen Hao. If I had known that senior brother was your big brother, I would have crushed these bastards to death long ago. Senior brother, I, Coiling Dragon, am here. You big idiot, if we knew you were my big brother's junior brother, we would have come out earlier. Big brother, we're here. Chen Ling and Li Yang silently appeared in front of Chen Hao. Chen Ling directly held onto Chen Hao's arm like a little bird, smiling sweetly. Big brother. Li Yang also looked at Chen Hao excitedly and called out. At this moment, the spectating cultivators were not the only ones who were dumbfounded. Hu Mainyang, the 4 berserk dragons, and the others were similarly shocked to the extreme, who could silently penetrate their encirclement and appear beside Chen Hao. What kind of frightening cultivation was needed to achieve this? The 2 people before them were a man and a woman. Their faces were young and immature, but no one present was able to see through their cultivation. What was even more shocking was that the space between Chen Ling and Li Yang's brows emitted a crystalline light, and the top of their heads emitted oppressive immortal energy. Motherfucker, fuck off. Rumble. Bang, bang. Amidst the sound of footsteps that shook the mountains and the earth, a colossus that was tall like a mountain seemed to cover half the sky. He held a golden axe in his hand and swung it down from 600 m away, causing a rumbling explosion that seemed as if the heavens and the earth were being split apart. The few heavenly immortal stage experts that surrounded Chen Hao instantly turned ghastly pale, and they retreated violently. Bang, bang. Coiling Dragon arrived in front of Chen Hao with peerless speed, causing dust and rocks to swirl in the air. His violent and shocking entrance was a stark contrast to Chen Ling and Li Yang's silent appearance. However, The shock it brought to the crowd was no less than Qinling and Li Yang's. His body was as tall as 3 people, and he was filled with an endless wild aura. He was like an ancient divine beast that had descended, and every move he made seemed to have the power to collapse mountains. Senior brother, please accept junior brother's bow. Coiling Dragon knelt on the ground with a bang. What surprised everyone, including Chen Hao, was that Coiling Dragon actually knelt 3 times and kowtowed 9 times with a solemn and serious expression. After he finished bowing in one breath, he said, "Master once said that senior brother will temporarily take over master's responsibilities. I, Coiling Dragon, am your man. Senior brother, please accept it." A milky white light instantly flew out from between Coiling Dragon's eyebrows and floated in front of Chen Hao. Chen Hao simply didn't have time to say anything. Coiling Dragon directly stood up, turned around, held the axe horizontally, and swept his wild gaze towards Hu Mainyang, the 4 mad dragons, and the others with solemn expressions. "Motherfucker, you bunch of trash dare to touch my senior brother? Come, I'll beat all of you up. Hu Mainyang, right? Misty Rain Tower's Saintess, right? Do you believe that I, the Manhuang tribe, will come out and destroy your Misty Rain Tower? Bitch. 4 mad dragons, right? Mad your motherfucker. Come, I'll chop your mother into pieces with my axe." "Big guy, you talk too much nonsense. Can't you just kill them? Don't worry, with me and senior brother here, none of them can escape. Go ahead and kill them. Big brother, I'm awesome, right? Senior brother, I'll listen to you. If you say to kill them all, I'll kill them all." Coiling Dragon felt that he was fierce enough, but Chen Ling's words directly choked him. Although Coiling Dragon was barbaric and warlike, if he killed so many top geniuses in vast universe galaxy in one go, even the Manhuang tribe wouldn't be able to withstand a crusade from so many major forces. Killing the 2 masterminds, Hu Mainyang and the 4 mad dragons, was still something the Manhuang tribe could barely withstand. "Coiling Dragon, you really want to deal with Mainyang?" Hu Mainyang's expression was uncertain. With her innate Taoist embryo, she could clearly feel the strength of the 3. In any case, she didn't expect that Chen Hao would have such powerful helpers. She knew about Coiling Dragon, but the current Coiling Dragon was far more powerful than the rumors said. Where did Qinling and Li Yang come from? She had never heard of them. However, she knew that she couldn't stay silent anymore. "Fuck off. What bullshit Red Dust Heart Sutra? It doesn't work on me. The women I like have breasts 5 times bigger than yours, and buttocks 10 times bigger than yours. Look at you, you have to stand on your tiptoes to aim your mouth at my crotch. I'm not interested even if you strip naked for me. How dare you? How dare you insult Miss Hu? You're courting death by insulting Miss Hu. Kill them. It's just 5 of them. What are we afraid of? Kill them all." Boom boom boom, I, Hu Mainyang, will kill you with my own hands. Hu Mainyang had never been so angry before. Coiling Dragon's shameless words made her 100 times angrier than Chen Hao's. At the same time, Coiling Dragon's insulting of the goddess in the hearts of many celestial immortals made them lose their minds. A great battle broke out. Dazzling light bloomed as Hu Mainyang pushed the Red Dust Heart Sutra to the extreme. She slashed out with her sword, and the great Tao resonated as the energy of heaven and earth surged. Chapter 749. So powerful. Is this the power of the innate Taoist embryo? It's terrifying. Hu Mainyang attacked furiously, and everyone else's attacks paled in comparison. Although they were at the same level, the other heavenly celestial experts' attacks were completely incomparable to Hu Mainyang's. That was the difference between a firefly and the moon. "Big guy, leave her to us." Chen Ling and Li Yang's figures suddenly disappeared. When they reappeared, they were already between Hu Mainyang and Pan Long. The 2 stood side by side, and at the same time, they formed a seal with their hands. Their hands became as translucent as jade, and their fingers shone like a blooming lotus. They were gentle and beautiful. However, as their fingers danced on the strings of a zither, a giant finger bloomed with terrifying pressure instantly formed in front of them. Quick! Chen Ling and Li Yang shouted at the same time and pointed their fingers. It was also at this moment that Chen Ling and Li Yang snatched away Hu Mainyang's coiling dragon. With a sweep of his axe, he single-handedly faced the attacks of several heaven immortal experts who were clamoring to kill him. Chen Hao, give me your life. At the same time, the 4 wild dragons seized the opportunity to attack Chen Hao violently. Today, I'll send you to the Western Paradise. Chen Hao shouted coldly. Boom! Boundless murderous intent followed Chen Hao's cold shout. He and the spear became one, and the spear turned into a swimming dragon. His soul and physical strength rolled, and it seemed to tear the space apart as he attacked the 4 wild dragons. A bunch of love-struck fools, I'll let you have a taste of the power of the Poison King Sutra. Come out, baby. Countless tiny fluorescent lights danced in the sky, and as fast as lightning, they flew toward the other heavenly celestial experts. Du Jing, who had already decided to fight fiercely and drag a few people down with him, felt his blood boil and his fighting spirit soar because of the arrival of Qin Ling, Li Yang, and Pan Long. He instantly activated his Poison King Sutra to the limit and released 100 saint-level soul-devouring parasitic silkworms. Although he couldn't secretly poison Qin Ling and Li Yang like before, it wasn't that easy for the other heavenly celestial experts to get rid of the saint-level silkworms. If they weren't careful, they might fall into the trap. When the saint silkworm entangled the opponent, Du Jing's battle prowess, which was not any weaker, would display a great advantage. This was the reason why Du Jing was more difficult to deal with than the 4 mad dragons. He would rather offend the 4 mad dragons than provoke Du Jing, who was covered in poison. Rumble. Rumble. It was a long story, but in reality, everyone had made their moves at the same time. In an instant, majestic and terrifying energy wreaked havoc. Explosions resounded throughout the world, covering the sky and the sun. The earth wailed, and the protective light of the palace flickered. The spectating cultivators all retreated in fear. They looked at the clash between the top human experts of the primitive secret realm in shock. Hu Mainyang is actually at a disadvantage. Who are those 2 people? He's too strong. I've never even heard of it. Amazing. Too awesome. Chen Hao was still not at a disadvantage. He's only at the medium stage of the Earth celestial stage, while the 4 mad dragons are already at the heaven celestial stage. Coiling dragon is too terrifying. Is that body still human? Du Jing is indeed a true transmission disciple of the Poison King Valley. He's really difficult to deal with. Everyone widened their eyes in horror. They were dazzled and didn't know who to look at. They couldn't take care of everything at the same time. Such a terrifying melee was a rare top-level battle. The mysterious young man and woman were even more powerful than Hu Mainyang, the Holy Virgin of the Misty Rain House, who was known as the #1 person in the Earth's celestial stage in the vast universe galaxy. Chen Hao, who was only at the medium stage of the Earth's celestial stage, was facing the 4 mad dragons, who had been able to fight against heaven celestials when they were at the Earth's celestial stage and were now at the heaven celestial stage. Coiling Dragon of the Savage Tribe, who had appeared only once in 10,000 years, had defeated more than 10 heaven celestial stage experts with a big axe. He had made several people spit out blood with just 1 blow. He was a ferocious beast in human form. His body was so strong that it made people's hair stand on end. Du Jing, who was the weakest, had used the Poison King scripture to control hundreds of poisonous insects at the holy level. More than 10 heaven celestial stage experts avoided him like he was a snake or a scorpion. Everyone was dumbfounded. The heaven celestial stage experts in the battle were even more shocked. They had thought that they would win the battle. But now, only 5 people had completely blocked dozens of them. No one could gain the upper hand. Haha, this is great. Kill them all. Go to hell. Rumble. Coiling Dragon's huge body jumped up high. He was like a tiger pouncing on a rabbit. The aura of an ancient ferocious beast was raging around him. He didn't hold back at all. Kill. Only kill. At this point, Coiling Dragon knew that there was no way out. He couldn't care about the consequences. He could only kill. He, who was already addicted to battle, threw away all his scruples. His whole body was boiling with beast blood. It was really beast blood, and it was the blood of an ancient divine beast. Boom, 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 puff, puff, puff. With one blow of the axe, several people flew backward with blood spurting out. Even if several people joined hands to block it, it was still like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Coiling Dragon's physical strength was too terrifying. Du Jing, your unorthodox methods are inferior in the end. Put away your poisonous bugs and come to my side. Coiling Dragon's eyes and ears were alert. After forcing his opponents back with one blow, he saw that Chen Hao, who was only at the middle stage of the Earth's celestial stage, was evenly matched with the 4 wild dragons at the Heaven's celestial stage. Chen Ling and Li Yang were fighting Hu Meinyang together and had the upper hand. Only Du Jing was in danger. If it weren't for the poisonous insects distracting him, Du Jing would have been cut into pieces. But although Du Jing didn't agree with Coiling Dragon, he wouldn't joke with his life. Hu Meinyang's face was solemn. Even she didn't expect Chen Ling and Li Yang to be so strong. If her Red Dust Heart Sutra hadn't reached the Heaven Celestial stage and had the effect of complementing one's soul and will, she wouldn't be able to compete with them. Their attacks were completely beyond her understanding. On the surface, their attacks couldn't hurt her at all. However, their attacks contained unparalleled soul suppression and attack, making it impossible for her to use her full strength. Little brother, Meinyang has no enmity with you. Even you want to fight Meinyang? But even the big guy is useless. Do you think I, Li Yang, am easy to bully? In front of Ling, you're just a stinky bitch. Li Yang's eyes suddenly blossomed with a light that was even brighter than the sun. His young and tender face was calm as he spoke disdainfully. Almost at the same time, Hu Meinyang suddenly covered her eyes and let out a scream. It had to be said that Hu Meinyang had shot herself in the foot. She was obsessed. Seeing that she was at a disadvantage, she wanted to use the Red Dust Heart Sutra to seduce Li Yang. Li Yang was born and nurtured by the earth. His spiritual altar was pure and flawless. He had never experienced any worldly experiences. The only thing he had was Chen Hao's memories. However, those weren't his own experiences and wouldn't affect him at all. Of course, the most important thing was that Li Yang was an extreme Dao inheritor who specialized in soul cultivation. Any seduction technique would be greatly reduced. His soul power was definitely much stronger than Hu Meinyang's innate Taoist embryo. How could he be seduced? You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.